Good afternoon, everyone. It is great to see you on this new week, new Monday afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon as opposed to yesterday, um, which is something that I won't go into, but there's just reasons for not being able to live stream yesterday. But I didn't want to wait, and so we're going to just do this today. And if a lot of people have to watch on replay, that's fine with me too. Um, I have that graphic warning sign up there for just a couple seconds because it's pretty rough, or at least it is to me. And I'm somebody who is not at all easily disturbed or shaken or offended by what's to come. So um, I will just leave that off to the side and say hello and good afternoon and happy Monday to Rick. How are you doing today, Rick?
Doing better now that my machine is restarted.
Oh, are you talking about?
My desktop computer rebooted for an update. I'm like, no, not right before the broadcast.
Cherie has that same problem most of the time. And so I have mine automatically set to update in the middle of the night when I'm theoretically sleeping and not on the computer. But I don't know. That's just me. I'm having trouble with I don't know if it's it's not my internet connection. I probably need to clean my computer or do whatever has to be done because it's really, really lagging and really, really slow. So if that affects the live stream today, I really apologize. I hope it doesn't. But Rick, I'm going to just jump right in. Well, let me first, Muffin Rando was here earlier to say hello and give a thumbs up. He's on his way home. And so he's driving. He's got a few hours left. So he wanted to tell us to have a good stream, and we thank him for that very much. And Liam is here, and I love to see Liam in the chat. Liam always brings logic and reasoning, common sense, and a lot of humor to our chat, which we really appreciate. Um, really quickly, Liam says, I fell asleep quite early watching videos on map and compass navigation, so I missed a few Sunday streams, which I would normally try to get to. That's okay, I understand. And Liam also says, Rick, your microphone is a little hot. So, okay. So I think everything is updated on my laptop and on, I think Rick's desktop is updated and running well. So now that I've given plenty of warning about this graphic content, we're going to go ahead and get started. I'll try to keep an eye on you in the chat for those who are able to be here and answer questions. Rick and I can answer questions in the chat, as we see them, or comments or whatever. So, without further ado, we're going to play this most vile, disgusting, in my opinion, disturbing trial testimony. Here you go.
Transcript of the jury trial had on the 30th day of November 2015 before the Honorable Timothy R. Henderson, District Judge in and for Oklahoma County, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, reported by Kristen L. Taylor, RPR.
Your Honor, the state calls Kala Lyles.
Ma'am, if you would step up right before me. All right. If you have a seat over here in this chair, once you get situated, hold that microphone right around in front of you. If you would state your name and spell it for us, please.
Kala Lyles. Kala, Kala, Lyles, Lyles.
All right. Ms. Lyles, speak a little bit louder, thank you. You may proceed.
Thank you, Judge. Miss Lyles, if I can, I want to talk to you about some events that occurred back in 2014. Ma'am, during this time period, were you in a relationship with an individual?
Yes.
And what was his name?
James.
What was his last name?
James Anderson.
At some point during 2014, did you reside with James Anderson at the Relax Inn?
Yes.
Okay. Can you tell the jury a little bit about that? Is it a hotel in town? Where is it?
Yes. It's on the northeast side at Relax Inn.
Okay. And would you rent rooms by the week or by the month? Or how did you do that?
By the week.
By the week? All right, ma'am. Was there a time where you and Mr. Anderson got into an argument?
Yes.
Okay. And as a result of the argument, what did you do?
I took a walk.
Okay. And can you tell the jury about where you took your walk to? Where'd you go?
I was walking down 16th right off Lottie.
Okay. And I probably didn't ask you, where's the Relax Inn?
Right off the 23rd off of Highland.
23rd and Highland? Is 23rd a big street? Busy street?
Uh-huh.
Do you remember about what time of year it was? What the date was that you went for this walk?
No. I know it was in the summer.
Was it warm?
Uh-huh.
When you went for a walk, you said you walked down towards the area of 16th and around Lottie. About how far away from the Relax Inn is that?
It's like on the other side through the neighborhood across the hills.
Take a while to walk there.
Uh-huh.
Ms. Lyles, I need you to make sure you give a verbal response, a yes or a no, if it calls for that instead of a nod or a sound. Thank you.
Ma'am, at some point, did something unusual happen while you were on the walk?
Yeah, I got stopped by the police.
At that time that you got stopped by the police, ma'am, I know you were walking, but were you doing anything else?
No.
Okay. Did you have a phone with you?
Yeah, I was on the phone with James.
Okay. That's a gentleman that you were living with at the Relax Inn?
Yes.
And that if it don't necessarily tell me that he was saying, but what were you guys talking about on the phone as you were walking?
We were just discussing our argument that we was talking about. I had walk off with.
And I don't understand what you said right there at the end.
We was just discussing what we was talking about, our argument.
About your argument? Okay. And ma'am, at some point you said an officer stopped you. Were you on the phone whenever the officer stopped you?
Yes.
Did you say anything to Mr. Anderson about the officer that you can remember?
Nothing that he heard. The policeman that stopped me, and he told me to hang up my phone.
Okay. So you remember saying something to him about the police officer stopping you?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Well, what happened after that? Did the policeman in fact come in contact with you?
Yes.
Okay. Tell me a little about what happened.
He stopped me and run my name, and then asked me if I needed a ride. And I told him no, but he gave me a ride anyway because he run in my name. And that's when he started taking me down 16th and turned off a Highland.
Okay. Well, you told me a lot of things that happened right there. So let me ask. You said he stopped you. You were walking. You weren't driving, right?
Uh-uh.
Okay. And when he stopped you, ma'am, did he get out of the car and talk to you?
Yes.
Or did he stay in the car?
He got out the car.
He got out the car. And at some point during this contact right there around the 16th and Lottie area, did you ever get in the car?
Yes, he put me in the back seat.
Okay. He put you in the back seat. Do you remember which side?
It could have been on the back passenger.
Okay. Certainly the back passenger of the police car.
Yeah.
And then you said a moment ago, when I asked you what happened, you said that he ran you. When you say he ran you, what do you mean?
He run my name
Okay. What does that mean?
to see if I had any warrants.
Okay. How did he do that?
I guess he had made a call or something.
Made a call? Could you hear anyone he was talking to? Was it on a radio or a phone? Do you know?
It could have been like on a phone.
Okay. You just know he called somebody?
Yeah.
Okay. However he did it, could you hear what that person was saying in response to him?
No, but I just know he said it was clear.
Okay. You remember him saying it was clear? Okay. And what does that mean to you when he said you were clear?
That I didn't have no warrants.
Okay. Now, during this conversation, ma'am, had he asked you other than, do you want to ride? Had he asked you anything else?
No, not at the time.
Okay. Did he ask you to get in the police car, or did he direct you to, or did you just get in voluntarily without being asked?
Oh, he asked me to.
And did he say why, or did he just say, can you step in the car?
He just said step in the car while he run my name.
Okay. At this point, did you think anything of it?
No.
Had you been stopped before?
Got stopped before, but I didn't think nothing of it.
Nothing unusual had happened at this point?
Yeah.
You told me that the officer at some point asked you if you wanted a ride.
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit about how that conversation came up, or why the topic of conversation came up, if there was any reason?
I guess just because it was late at night. I don't know. But I just told him no. But since I was in the car anyway, he just say, I'm going to take you wherever you need to be or something. And he just starts driving.
And Miss Lyles, I neglected to ask you, what time was it, if you remember?
I don't remember. I know it was pretty late.
Pretty late? Dark outside?
Uh-huh.
Do you know if it was before or after midnight, or do you have any idea?
It could have been a little bit close to midnight. It was like
Wait.
Yeah, he missed a whole word.
Sorry.
I saw that.
Asking you for a ride.
My bad. All right. Sometime close to, by the way, shut up, Rich. Sometime close to midnight? Okay. And so did he say because it was late and you're walking, or did you just assume because it was late and he was asking you for a ride?
It was like how he was saying it, like it was kind of late.
You just kind of assume that's what he was talking about?
Yeah.
Just want to make sure I'm understanding. You declined a ride? Okay. But you told me a moment ago, eventually, he went ahead and drove anyway. Did
He just took off.
How many times did he ask you? Was it just once for the ride? Or did that conversation go back and forth?
It was like he just had said it and he just started taking off after that.
So he did that anyway? Okay. Had you told him where you were walking to or where you were going? Or how is it that he would know to start driving anywhere?
Because he was like, what is you doing on this side of town? Because I was staying at my mom's at the time.
Okay.
And I guess it showed where my current address was at. And I said I was staying up at the hotel room and he was going to take me towards that way. And I said, will you at least let me off a Highland? Then we just went down Highland, but he turned off in the school off a Highland.
Okay. And so that I understand clearly, Miss Lyles, I want to make sure he talked to you about a ride and then some discussion came up about you staying at the hotel. And so that's the reason he started to go in that direction. At least that's what you assumed.
Yes.
Am I right about that?
Yes.
Now, you said on the way to some point, you said something about letting you off somewhere else other than the hotel.
Because I didn't want him to take me to an area like that. So many activities going on out there.
Explain what you mean by you didn't want him to take you to the hotel.
No.
Why?
Because there's so much like a drug activity and stuff. And I didn't want to be out seen like that in that type of neighborhood.
You didn't want to be seen with a police officer?
Yes.
Okay. Were you concerned that if people saw you riding around with a police officer, they might think you were friendly with the police? Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Okay. Am I right about that?
Yes.
Okay. So what did you say to him about that? To the police officer, what did you say?
I just told him just to let me out of Highland, and I walked from there.
Is Highland close to the hotel?
Yes.
Can I just a minute, Judge?
Yes.
Ma'am, I'm going to show you. May I approach?
May approach.
I'm going to show you two different maps. States 365 and 366. And the reason I say that, ma'am, is just because they have numbers on them, okay? Now, do you recognize kind of where you were? Do you see the freeway?
Uh-huh.
Okay. And if that's the Relax Inn, do you recognize this area?
Yeah.
Okay. And there's some street names.
All right, ma'am. You're going to need to speak into the microphone.
I'm sorry, Judge. I hold it over here. Do you recognize generally what that layout is in 365?
Yes.
Does it show Lottie?
Yes.
Okay. And now, if I show you 366, is that just a closer view of what's 365?
Yes.
Okay. And is that the hotel there?
Yes.
And is this Highland?
Yes.
All right. Based upon your memory, ma'am, and your knowledge of that area, do these two pictures basically show the way the streets go and where the hotel is?
Yes.
And are they accurate based upon your memory?
Yes.
I'd offer 365 and 366, counsel.
No objection.
All right. States Exhibit 365 and 366 will be admitted.
Miss Lyles, just in case people aren't familiar with the area, I want to show everyone what we're looking at. This is 365, okay? Ma'am, if I could back it up and it gets real small, do you see this pink road over here? The way the map has it? Is this Interstate 35? It's a big highway, right?
Yes.
And then this line going across here, is that 23rd Street?
Yes.
And when I showed it to you, ma'am, way over here on this side, is this Lodi?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's Lottie.
I'm
You've
sorry.
been saying Lottie. Why did you say Lottie?
Lottie. Okay.
Lottie.
Okay. And when I showed it to you, ma'am, way over here on this side, is it Lottie?
Yes.
And if I told you, I know you probably can't see it, but where my finger is that about 16th Street?
Uh-huh. Yes.
Ma'am, if I zoomed in, do you see this building here?
Yes.
What is it?
Relax in.
All right. So states number 365 gives us an overview. Although it's kind of hard. It's small, but essentially, before the officer had stopped you, you'd walk from the Relax Inn over to this area, which is over here at 16th and Lottie. Is that right?
Yes.
All right. Ma'am, now on 366, which is right there, if I blow, is this part of the same area that we're looking at?
Yes.
Just a closer view. Is that the Relax Inn?
Yes.
And ma'am, the street that's right here, I don't know if you can see it on there or not, but is that Highland?
Yes.
So Highland goes north-south and almost right to where the Relax Inn is?
Yes.
Where were you telling the officer that you wanted him to let you out?
Right there off of 16th and Highland.
About 16th and Highland?
Yes.
All right. So 16th is going to be down actually this. The last street is 17th. Can you see that?
Uh-huh. Yes.
And then if he lets you out at 16th and Highland, what was your intention? What was your plan?
I was going to walk back towards the room.
Walk back towards the hotel?
Uh-huh.
Did he take you that direction in the car? In other words, did he take you from 16th and Lottie in the direction of 16th and Highland? Did you start going that way?
Yeah.
That's what I'm asking.
Yes.
Okay. When you got to the area, ma'am, what happened?
I said that he could let me out right here, and then he just kept going, and just we had turned off, and I think it was 18th and Highland in that school.
All right. So you got to the area of 16th and Highland, and did you say anything like, you can let me off here, or anything like that?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Do you remember if he responded to whenever you said, you can let me out here?
I don't think he responded to me.
Okay. But he didn't stop?
No.
Now, you said something about 18th and Highland. Describe what 18th is. What's that road look like?
It's like a park close down with a school, elementary school.
A school and a park?
Uh-huh.
If I turn your attention back towards what's on the television on 366, the Relax Inn straight north on Highland, correct?
Yes.
Okay, but I want to go back down here now. Can you see 18th Street there?
Yes.
All right. Ma'am, when you talk about the park and the school, is this the area that you're talking about?
Yes.
So he turned on 18th Street.
Yes.
And did he drive down towards the park and the school? And did he... Shut up, Richard. And did he drive down towards that park and that school?
Yes.
What happened?
He jumped the curb and pulled between the buildings.
The buildings of what?
Part of that school.
The school?
Yeah.
Whenever he was doing that, ma'am, did you say anything to him?
At that time, I was trying to figure out what's going on.
Did you ask him what's going on?
Yeah.
Did he respond, if you recall?
I don't remember if he did. Just weird.
Did you say it was weird?
Yeah, it was just weird.
Was it concerning to you?
Yes.
At this point, ma'am, are you still on the phone or have you hung up the phone?
I had hung it up.
Okay. At what point did you hang it up? I know we talked about it, but I don't remember what I asked you specifically.
He made me hung it up as soon as he got out of the car.
Back at 16th and Lottie area?
Yes.
Can you see on there where your recollection is that he parked?
Between the buildings.
Okay. Is that the school?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know which buildings he parked between?
It was probably like between them two buildings with the
You tell me. Okay. Are you talking about these two
bushes.
buildings?
Yeah, those on the front part.
By where?
Up in the front, but, right
This
there in
way?
that area.
Somewhere in here?
Yeah.
All right. When you pulled in there, ma'am, were there lights or anything from the school?
No, it was dark.
Okay. And did he actually stop there?
Yes, and got out of the car.
And what happened whenever he got out of the car?
Opened my door and he let me out. And he asking me do I have anything on me illegal? And I told him no. And he made me show myself to him.
Okay. So at this point, he's out of the car. Is that right?
Yes.
Are you still in the car or are you out of the car at this point?
I'm out of the car.
You're out of the car? Where are you standing in relation to the car?
Like, I'm still standing by the car door with the door open.
So are you just outside the back seat?
Uh-huh.
And where's the officer?
Standing right there, like kind of a little bit behind me a little bit.
Ma'am, had he asked you to get out or did you just get out knowing that he opened the door so you got out? How did that happen if you remember?
I just got out because he opened the door.
He opened the door?
Yeah.
Can you open the door from inside the car? Police car?
No.
So you actually stand up besides the car and then tell me what happens.
And he had made a comment and he said, I bet that pussy is wet.
Okay. You said something a minute ago, ma'am, about him asking you if you had anything on you. Do you remember telling me that?
Uh-huh.
When did that happen? Were you still in the car or were you out of the car when that happened?
He asked me if I had anything on me, but I had got out the car and that's when I had to show myself to him.
Okay. And did that happen right after you got out, or did something else happen first?
That was right. That happened first.
That happened first?
Yeah.
Okay. So when you stood up, that's part of the conversation about, do you have anything on you?
Uh-huh.
All right. And then in response to that, what did he do? Or what did you do in response to, do you have anything on you?
He asked me to show my cleavage and my private.
Okay. Tell me about that. Tell me about how that happened exactly. The jury doesn't understand exactly. They haven't heard anything about this. So tell us. Tell us what happened.
He just had me to pull my shirt up and pull my panties down. So assumed I didn't have nothing on me.
Ma'am, what were you wearing that day?
I think it might have been a dress.
Okay.
I'm not for sure.
Like a one-piece thing?
Yes.
Okay. You said he had you pull your shirt up. Tell me did he tell you to do that?
Yes.
Or did he motion? Or how did you know that's what he wanted you to do?
He told me to do it.
And what did you do?
I did it.
Were you wearing undergarments? Were you wearing a bra?
Yes.
Okay. Did that stay on?
He made me pull everything up. I guess he just wanted to see if I had anything on me. But I don't think, I didn't have nothing on me, just what he was wanting me to do.
And I want to be real specific. I'm not trying to embarrass you, but I want to ask you real specific. So he had you actually pull your shirt and pull your bra up? Were your breasts exposed to him?
Yes.
Was there light there? Could you see?
I guess how he had his light or something on them. I'm not for sure.
And what light? Do you remember there being any lights?
Not when we pulled up, I didn't.
Okay. Were there lights on the car or in the car?
Yeah.
The door was open?
Yes.
Does the light come on when the car door is open?
Yes.
So there was that light? After you exposed yourself to him, your breast, how long did you hold your shirt up? Was it just a moment or did you put it down? Tell me about how that went.
I just showed him and just clothed myself back up.
Did he say anything?
Other than, I bet that pussy's wet.
I want to make sure I'm following the sequence. So he said that after you pulled your shirt up or before?
After.
After? You also said something about having to either pull your dress up to where your privates were exposed, or at one time you said your pants. I'm not sure which. Do you remember?
No, I just remember pulling my panties down.
Your panties down?
Yeah, because he was trying to make sure if anything was stuffed in there or something.
Miss Lyles, do you remember why you specifically did that? In other words, did he tell you to do that, or did you just do that on your own?
Oh, he told me to.
What did he say, if you remember?
Pull my panties down, make sure I didn't have nothing up in me.
And when you did, nothing up in you?
Huh?
He said, I want to make sure you have nothing up in you. Is that what he said?
Yes.
All right, ma'am. Whenever you did that, well, first of all,
Yes.
and so then your pubic and your vaginal.
Vaginal?
What the fuck's a vaginal?
And so then your pubic and your vaginal area was exposed as well?
Yes.
Did that last about the same amount of time as your shirt, or was it different?
Lasted about that time.
About the same time?
Uh-huh.
Did he say anything to you after you did that?
Other than, I bet that pussy's wet, and then he just...
And that's when
Yes.
That's when he said that? And then I interrupted you. You were going to say something else?
That's when he had me bend over.
Okay, ma'am. At this point, if I understand it, are you still standing outside the car?
Yes.
Okay. He said, I'm going to have you bend over, or you said he had me bend over. Tell me what happened next.
He just pulled it out and he just start raping me, I guess.
Okay. Did you at some point bend over?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Tell me, where did you bend over, or how did you bend over, Miss Lyles?
In the back seat of the car.
Okay. Are your feet still outside the car?
Yes.
So basically, the doors, have you ever moved away from the door?
No.
You're still standing right in the opening. If this is the street, right?
Yeah.
And does the top half of your body lean onto the seat?
Yes.
Okay. Ma'am, I think you said, and then he started raping me, something. Is that what you said?
Uh-huh.
You got. I don't want to laugh at this, but this is just. Okay.
It's intense, right?
Yeah.
No, it's just like it's just like, oh well, he told me to bend over and he started raping me, I guess, and it's just like, what? You just guessed what happened?
I could just imagine her shrugging her shoulders as she's on the witness stand, like, I guess. I guess.
And then he's just like, and then he started raping me. Something, is that what you said?
And does anybody else feel like it's kind of weird that because in the preliminary she did the same thing, where she just it's multiple times that she just like she can't wait to get to a point where she can say, I bet that pussy's wet. How many times does she say that? I've told you, she's vile and foul.
Yeah, I see that.
You got to answer. She has to write it down. So you have to. Yes or no? Okay.
Yes.
That's why I'm making you do that. Ma'am, did you see his penis?
Yes.
Okay. Did you see it? When did you see his penis?
After the fact. After he told me to raise up and told me to suck his dick.
Okay. Did it happen before or after he had you bend over?
It was like back and forth, so it's kind of confusing.
Okay. So not only did he actually, to use your word, rape you, but he actually had you suck his dick too?
Yes.
Okay. And I want to make sure I understand. Did he do it more than one time?
Yes.
Okay. So it was back and forth?
Yes.
Do you remember whether or not the oral started first or the vaginal intercourse started first?
I think he had me bend over first.
He had you bend over first?
Yeah.
All right. Ma'am, I'm going to ask you another question again. I'm not trying to embarrass you. Whenever he had you bend over, did you feel his penis go into your vagina?
Yes.
Okay. Other than his penis going into your vagina, did you feel anything else back there?
Yes. I felt like it might have been his gun or something poking my hip.
You felt like his gun was poking your hip?
Uh-huh.
Did you see how he removed his penis from his pants?
Yeah. He just unzipped his fly.
Okay. So his gun and stuff stayed on,
Uh-huh.
but his penis came out of his fly.
Yes.
All right. In regards to the sexual intercourse, do you have any idea how long that lasted?
Probably like 20 or 30 minutes.
Seems like 20 or 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Do you know whether or not he ejaculated, Miss Lyles?
I don't think so.
Why don't you think so?
Because I know the difference of that. It was just getting excitement or something out of it. I don't know.
Okay. Well, and again, I'm not trying to be crude, but you've had sex before when someone has ejaculated?
Uh-huh.
It didn't feel like that?
Uh-uh.
Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. Do you notice if there was any fluid or anything? And again, I'm not trying to be graphic, but was there any fluid on your leg or anything like that?
Not that I can recall.
Okay.
I just fucking can't. I can't. I've read this before. I know what's in here, but when I hear people reading it out loud in different voices, I just can't deal with it. This is disgusting and foul, and he's not trying to be crude, or I'm not trying to be graphic, or I'm not trying. But did you like it when you sucked his dick? And was there anything running down your leg after he pulled his penis out of your vagina? He's just, these people are sick.
Right.
Sorry. That was
Okay.
another Rhonda rant.
Identical.
Okay. Sorry.
Okay. Now you said at some point he also made you perform oral sex on him.
Yes.
How were you positioned, or where was your body whenever he had to do the oral sex?
I just like squatted down a little bit.
Squatted down, so you're still outside the car?
Uh-huh.
And did his penis go into your mouth?
Yes.
Do you know whether or not he ejaculated during that event?
No, I don't think he did at all.
Approach, Your Honor.
You may approach.
Ma'am, I'm going to put on the TV again some of the photographs that have already been put into evidence. Do you know whether or not, do you recognize those buildings?
Yes.
Okay. What are those buildings?
That's where we was at the school.
Somewhere in there?
Uh-huh.
You show me an overhead view of it. I'm going to show you another picture. Is your memory that you were between these two buildings or between other buildings?
I think it was like in front of them buildings.
All right. I'm going to show you this, and I know it's maybe hard to orient, but this is looking at this end of the building, okay? You with me?
Uh-huh. Yes.
And is this the curb that he drove over?
Yes.
Okay, if I go down to the other end of this building, ma'am, that's what State's Exhibit number 280 is. Do you understand? Are you oriented?
Yes.
Okay. Was it in that area somewhere?
It was right there by that, right here in front of that pole light.
In front of that pole thing?
Uh-huh.
Okay, but it's your memory. I'm not sure what that is, but if that's a light, that overhead light wasn't on. Is that right?
It wasn't on.
Okay, but that's the location you believe you were in?
Yes.
All right. Ma'am, at some point, did your encounter with this officer at that location come to an end?
Yes.
Okay. And can you tell me a little bit about
He
how
just let
it
me
came
walk
to an
from there.
end? Did he say anything to you when he was done?
Yes, saying he wanted to see me again.
He said he wanted to see you again?
Yeah, that next night.
Whenever. Ma'am, he said he wanted to see you again the next night. How did that make you feel?
Kind of nervous.
Okay. Did it scare you?
Yes.
After he's done, did he ever drive you anywhere else after leaving that location?
No, he let me walk from there.
Did you see which way he went?
Not really, but I noticed that he must have went up Miramar, jumped the curb. Miramar is right there. And I went through the school buildings. I went up Fairmont, and
So you saw him drive that direction, or you're just assuming he went that direction?
because he stayed there for a moment, and then the streets was real quiet, and I got up to 22nd and Fairmont, and I saw like this police car, and I kind of ducked back. I ducked
thought
back
that
there
was him?
like at a vacant house so he could pass by.
Did you know for sure it was him?
I believe it was him because it was pretty quiet that night.
Could you see? Could you see the man driving?
Yeah.
When he drove by,
Yes.
you thought it was the same guy?
Yeah. It ain't too many black police cars at that time.
Okay. All right. At some point, ma'am, after you walked to the location, did you continue to walk somewhere else?
I was walking towards the hotel room.
And did you make it back to the hotel room?
Yes.
And whenever you got to the hotel room, what did you do?
I immediately told James what happened.
All right. And did you tell him, what did you tell him, if you remember?
I just told him that the policeman that had stopped me, that he had raped me. He wanted me to call the police, and I would say he is the police. And I don't want to call in because I was nervous.
You didn't call?
No, he was wanting me to, but he was like, seemed like he was the only officer on duty. And
Did you think if you called the police, he would be the one that was sent to you?
yes.
Ma'am, did you notice, other than what you've told me about this officer and his body, did you notice anything else about his body?
Tattoos
Okay. What and where did you notice a tattoo?
on his arms.
Okay. Do you remember what it looked like?
Yeah, if I saw a picture of it, yeah.
Okay. You get back to the hotel and you tell Mr. Anderson about what had happened. You had the discussion that you told me about?
Uh-huh.
Did you do anything else that night?
No, I stood up for a minute and we just, like, that next day, a couple days after that, it just seemed like he was circling the parking lot.
You felt like he was around looking for you?
But yeah, because he knew where I was at.
Did you, other than that night though, did you have any face-to-face contact with him or have any discussions with him after that?
Uh-uh.
Okay. Ma'am, during that time period, do you remember what your telephone number was?
I think it started with a 326 maybe.
Okay. You understand that we got your telephone records, correct?
Yes.
And the number that you had back then, right?
Uh-huh, yes.
Okay. If I gave you the number 625-2930, does that sound familiar to you?
Yes.
Okay. Whenever you were calling Mr. Anderson that night, I know you were on the phone whenever the officer pulled up. You told me about that. After this happened, did you try to call anyone?
No, I think James was trying to. I'm not for sure.
Okay. He was trying to call you?
Yes.
Did you answer?
I don't think I have because he had when he was doing it to me, he had took my phone.
Okay. Whenever you got back to the Relax Inn and you were telling Mr. Anderson about this, did either he or you say anything about telephone calls going back and forth during that time?
Not that I remember.
Okay. Were you upset?
Yes.
You know that he was at the Relax Inn, either making phone calls and or whatever. You were talking to him. That's how you would call, is you wouldn't call his cell phone. You would call the Relax Inn and talk to him.
Yes.
All right, Miss Lyles. In regards to the officer telling you that he was going to see you again the next night or something like that, after this happened, did you change your behavior a little bit about this?
Yeah, I kind of stayed in the hotel room for a few days.
Were you nervous to go out?
Yes.
Judge, just object to relevance.
Overruled.
Ma'am, does it continue to affect you?
Judge, object to relevance.
Yes, a little bit.
Overruled. You can answer.
How so?
Yes.
How so? How does it affect you?
Because of the fact that I don't know who could be working with him.
You're distrustful of police?
Some of them.
Okay, ma'am. As the time went by, did you ever call yourself and report it?
No. I told my probation officer.
Okay. I want to talk to you about that. At what point did you tell your probation officer about it, ma'am?
I skipped a day to go over to my probation. And when I went back in, I can't remember exactly what the day, but he had my probation. He had me call the detective.
Okay.
And that's when all that went on.
What are you on probation for?
City.
For drugs?
Yes.
All right. That night, had you used any drugs? The night that you had contact with this police officer?
No.
Okay. But you were on probation at the time too. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So as part of your probation, are you supposed to check in at least every month or every week or something with your probation officer?
Oh, once a month.
Once a month? And I thought you said at some point when you were talking to me just a minute ago that you said you had missed an appointment or something.
Yes.
Why did you decide to tell your probation officer about what happened with the police officer?
It was just like I felt that I needed to tell somebody.
Had you seen it on TV?
Yeah.
Okay. So when you told your probation officer, do you know if he made contact with the detectives?
Yeah, he did it instantly.
Okay. Were you there whenever he did that?
Yes.
And then at some point, did you talk to the detectives about it?
Yes, they came down that same day. I talked to them in a private room.
Still on probation now?
Yes.
Ma'am, I know that you told me it affected you at that time and you were distrustful of the police. Does it still continue to affect you?
Judge, object to relevance.
All right. Sustained. It's been asked and answered.
Not really.
Judge, you just sustained the objection.
Ma'am, before that night, do you remember if you had ever seen that police officer before?
Yes.
And what's your memory of that?
I was driving James's car and James on the passenger side. He had stopped us right off of 22nd and Highland, and I didn't have my license. And he put me in the back seat of the police car, and he gave me some tickets and stuff. James was smoking a blunt, and he just gave him a ticket and let us go.
And it's your memory it was the same police officer?
Yes, I remember his face.
Can I have just a minute, Judge?
Yes.
Thank you. Ma'am, I'm going to show you State's Exhibit 81. Do you recognize what's in that picture?
Yes.
Did you say yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. What is that picture of?
That's a Chinese symbol.
Okay. Do you know whether or not this is the picture of the tattoo of the officer?
I don't remember that tattoo.
Okay. Let me show you another one.
Judge, may I approach?
Come on up.
Judge, these are not admitted exhibits that he's showing the witness, and I would just object to him doing this. It's not admitted, but he's just going through these pictures, I'm assuming, of Officer Holtzclaw until she finally identifies one, and she's going to say, aha, there it is. And that's not the proper way to go in. He can have her describe it if she wants to, what she saw on him that night, but just showing her photos of Officer Holtzclaw's inappropriate, and I object to it.
I don't think it's improper to show them a picture to see if they recognize it. If they say no, then I move on. I haven't shown them to her before, so.
Okay. You need to pay particular attention to the way you ask it.
Okay.
I'm going to overrule the objection as to showing the picture, but make sure the jury does not see it.
Trying not to let them.
Judge, it's no different than asking a leading question. He's just saying, do you recognize this? And she's saying yes or no. And then he's going to eventually get her to identify, aha, here we go. Now move to admit it. And I object to it. It's inappropriate and it's leading and suggestive.
Okay, overruled.
Ma'am, I'm going to show you States 82. Do you recognize what's depicted
Yes.
in that one?
I've only seen the bottom part of it.
Okay. Is that consistent with something you've seen before?
Yes.
Okay. What's it consistent with? What you've seen before?
Just the ending of it where he had his uniform on.
Okay. The tattoo of the officer that was involved the night that he stopped you?
Yes.
Okay. Did you see the whole tattoo that night?
No.
All right. Ma'am, in regards to that tattoo, the night that you got the ticket, did you see a tattoo that night?
It seemed like it was...
Ma'am, you're going to have to lean into the microphone a little bit more.
It seemed like he had like some other tattoos.
Let me just ask my question again. Do you remember seeing a tattoo that night you got the ticket?
Not really. It was pretty cold outside.
All right. But the picture I just showed you looks familiar for the other night when it was warm.
Yes.
All right. Ma'am, the officer that stopped you and took you to the school and assaulted you, do you see that officer in the courtroom?
Yes.
Okay. Can you tell me where he's sitting and what he's wearing, please?
He's sitting at the end with the black jacket on.
Closest to the judge or further away from the judge?
Closest to the judge.
Ask the record to reflect identification, Your Honor.
All right. Record will reflect.
Miss Lyles, I think that's all the questions I have. Let me just double check something real quick. Mr. Adams is going to ask you some questions. Pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right. Cross-examination.
Miss Lyles, just so we can get a timeline of your version of events, you're saying that this inappropriate activity between you and Officer Holtzclaw happened back on June the 25th of 2014, correct?
Yes.
Your Honor, object to the form of the question. I don't think she gave a date.
Overruled.
Are you saying yes?
Well, yeah, I don't remember the date.
Okay. You would agree with me that you were on probation at the time.
Uh-huh.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
You had to do these monthly reportings to your probation officer at the time.
Yes.
And so in July of 2014, you would have had to go see your probation officer, correct?
Yes.
And your probation officer's here in Oklahoma County, correct?
Yes.
You did not report to him in July of 2014 that you had any inappropriate contact between yourself and Officer Holtzclaw, correct?
Say it again.
You did not report to that probation officer in July of 2014 on your monthly meeting that you had any appropriate contact whatsoever with Officer Holtzclaw, correct?
I don't remember on that date.
Okay. You would agree with me that you missed your probation officer from seeing your probation officer on August of 2014, correct?
Yes.
You would agree with me that your terms and condition of your probation is that you will go back to prison if you fail to show up at any of those meetings, correct?
I don't know about that part, but I had rescheduled my probation.
So is it your testimony here today, under oath, that you had rescheduled August meeting as opposed to just missing it?
Uh-huh.
Is that a yes?
Yes, I rescheduled my appointment.
So you deny the fact that you intentionally missed your meeting in August of 2014 with your probation officer?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, did you go see your probation officer in mid-September of 2014, correct?
Yes.
And at that point in time, Officer Holtzclaw's picture and a number of things are being said about him on TV, newspapers, and the internet, correct?
Yes.
And you had seen all of that.
Yes.
And you knew that you were in trouble for missing your previous probation officer meeting, your meeting with the probation officer, correct?
I rescheduled at that time.
And your probation officer is a guy by the name of Jack Bowling, correct?
Yes.
Yes. So when you went in and you saw Mr. Bowling in September of 2014, he asked you where you've been,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
Tell him you've been having a tough time?
Yes.
Telling him your boyfriend had 2 heart attacks.
Yes.
And then you told him that you had been raped by the officer that's been all over the news, correct?
Yes.
And that point in time is when he called the sex crimes detective here in Oklahoma City and they came and interviewed you, correct?
Yes.
And they came and they talked to you down here at the probation officer's office, correct?
Yes.
And that, again, would have been September of 2014, some 3 months after you say these events happened, correct?
Yes.
Okay. When you first talked to those officers you talked to, it was Detective Davis who was sitting here at the table, correct?
Yes.
And Detective Homan, who's sitting back there on the front row of the audience, correct?
Yes.
Now, and that was your only contact with Officer Holtzclaw, other than the time that you've described where you pulled over about a year ago to this point, and he issued some traffic citations, correct?
Yes.
And you're positive about that.
Yes.
Just as positive as you are about Officer Holtzclaw doing anything inappropriate with you back in June of 2014, correct?
Yes.
Or May of 2014 at any time.
Yes.
Okay, now when you're pulled over by Officer Holtzclaw, approximately a year prior to this incident, you said you were driving James's car.
Uh-huh.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
And James is your boyfriend.
Yes.
And when you were pulled over by Officer Holtzclaw, you saw the same tattoo that you've identified here in this courtroom, correct?
I don't remember seeing it because it was cold.
It was cold outside at the time?
Yes. He probably had a jacket on.
And what type of traffic citations are you saying that the officer who molested you gave you back a year prior?
Driving without license and no insurance and a tag.
Okay. So then the very next time you saw Officer Holtzclaw was the time you were saying he took you behind the school and sexually assaulted you, correct?
Yes.
Now you are aware, if you're saying that these events happened at a school back on June the 25th of 2014, do you recall coming into contact with Officer Holtzclaw in early May of 2014?
I'm sorry, Your Honor. My objection again is just the form of the question. There hasn't been any testimony as of June 25th of 2014.
He can ask a leading question.
Ma'am, I'm wanting to be fair with you. Have you previously testified that this event behind the school where you're saying you were sexually assaulted occurred on June the 25th of 2014?
I don't know nothing exactly the date, but it was around the summertime.
Do you recall the specific date at all?
Uh-uh.
Do you recall coming in contact with Officer Holtzclaw in May of 2014?
I don't remember the month.
I'm sorry. That's very important. You can't remember the month, day this happened?
I know, right? It's everything when you really. I mean, I've been attacked in my own home, and that happened on November 7th of 2007. I will never forget that date.
Yeah, this is all right.
Yeah.
So the very first time you told your probation officer that the officer that's been all over the news did something inappropriate with you. How long was it till the detective showed up?
Like 15 minutes.
And then did they have a recording device on them?
Yes.
And did they take you and interview you?
Yes.
And you told during that interview process that you did not want to be known as a snitch, correct?
Yes.
That's the same thing you told Officer Holtzclaw, correct?
Yes.
You did not want anyone to see you around Officer Holtzclaw because you did not want to be labeled a snitch.
Yes.
You preferred, if you wanted to talk to him in private, correct?
Who?
It would be very bad to be seen in your neighborhood
Yes.
talking to an Oklahoma City police officer.
Yes.
Correct.
He was just giving me a ride. I don't, do all of that.
My question is very simple. You did not want to be seen in public
Yes.
in the area in Officer Holtzclaw's car, did you?
No.
And had you been seen in the car, you could have been labeled a snitch.
Yes.
And you did not want that. And you made that abundantly clear to everyone, correct?
Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
Including Officer Holtzclaw.
Yes.
Now, you stated that during this assault, that Officer Holtzclaw had you exit the vehicle where you were standing outside the car with your feet on the ground, correct?
Yes.
Do you recall previously testifying in the preliminary hearing in this matter that at all time your feet remained inside the vehicle?
Objection, Your Honor. I don't think that's an accurate portrayal of it.
Well, let me ask if it's this.
Hang on a second. Overruled.
Do you recall do you understand the question?
Say it again.
Do you recall in the preliminary hearing in this matter testifying under oath that at all times your feet remained inside the car?
Page, counsel?
He did not say all of that.
Do what?
He didn't say that. He just opened the car door and it was time for he to leave. And that's when he had me to do all that.
So it's your testimony today that your feet got outside of the car.
Yes.
Okay. Do you recall these questions being asked, these answers being given while you're under oath in the preliminary hearing in this matter? Page 95, line 2. Question. Okay. Were your feet all the way in the car and everything in the car? Answer. Uh-huh. Do you recall these questions being asked and those answers being given?
He didn't ask me that. Keep my legs or my feet in the car. He asked me to step out so he could see if I had anything on me.
I understand what you're saying happened. I'm saying, do you recall previously testifying in this case that at all times your feet remained inside the car?
Yeah, I guess so.
Do you also recall when you were being interviewed by the detectives in this case, when it was recorded that you told them that the officer pulled his pants down to his knees?
He didn't pull his pants down.
Do you recall telling...
No.
If you let me finish my question, I'll let you finish your answer. Do you recall telling the detectives in this case when you were interviewed in September of 2014 that the Officer Holtzclaw pulled his pants down to his knees?
No, I don't recall that.
Give me a page, please.
Page 2 of the report, halfway down, about paragraph 5, 6. She said the officers started grabbing his penis and said, "I bet that pussy is wet." She didn't respond to his comment. She said the officer pulled his pants halfway down and exposed his erect penis. Do you recall telling that to the detective?
No.
Because that did not happen, correct?
No, it didn't happen because I guess his gun started hitting me in my back. That's why he just unzipped his pants.
Because you understand for him to pull his pants down to his knees, he'd have to undo and take off his gun belt, correct?
Yes.
Now, you have been staying up with the news and actually seeing that Officer Holtzclaw was in trouble, correct? For some allegations that women were making against him, correct?
Yes.
You'd been staying up that actually been photographs of him shown on the news, correct?
Yes.
That was prior to you ever reporting any incident between yourself and Officer Holtzclaw, correct?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Now, going back, you were on probation then. And you were on probation, I think you told Mr. Kicker, for having illegal narcotics, correct?
Yes.
That was back in September of 2014.
Yes.
You were on a suspended sentence, meaning that you're a convicted felon, correct?
Yes.
And after you received that suspended sentence as a convicted felon, did you then pick up another case?
Yes.
Do what?
Yes.
And tell the jury what that case is all about.
Relevance, Your Honor, unless it's a conviction.
Overruled. I think it was brought up.
Tell the jury what that case is about.
About drug paraphernalia.
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
It was more than drug paraphernalia. It's about cocaine.
Yeah.
It's about you possessing controlled dangerous substance cocaine, correct?
Yeah, and drug paraphernalia.
Do you understand that that is illegal?
Yes.
And after you got probation on the case that we've been talking about, the one that you had to go see Mr. Bowling about, you picked up the cocaine case, correct?
Yes.
And after you picked up the cocaine case, you received another suspended sentence, correct?
Yes.
Meaning you got probation again.
Yes.
Didn't have to go to prison on that one, did you?
Nope.
You also, prior to the case that you were seeing Jack Bowling about, you're a probation officer back in September of 2015, and being on probation for that felony case, you had been on probation for another felony drug case before that, correct?
Yes.
And that also was possession of controlled dangerous substance and illegal narcotics with intent to distribute,
Yes.
meaning that you were selling it.
Yes.
May I have just one moment, Your Honor?
Yes.
Miss Lyles, let me ask you this. We know for a fact that in September of 2014, you were on probation for drugs, and that's when you allegedly that you went in there and told Mr. Bowling that your boyfriend had a heart attack and you were raped by an Oklahoma City police officer, correct?
Yes.
You would agree with me that that was some months after the event that you're saying occurred, correct?
About a month apart. Yeah.
Did you feel like it was an opportunity for you to capitalize on a get out of jail free card at that point in time?
No.
Well, then after that event happened, after you told Mr. Bowling that these things happened and you were interviewed by the detectives and you picked up another possession of cocaine case here in our community, again, you were granted probation again, correct?
Asked and answered.
All right. Are you laying a foundation or just asking the same?
Yes, Your Honor, laying a foundation.
All right. You can lay a foundation.
You were again granted probation, correct?
Yes. For another year.
So at that point in time, did you feel like to accuse Officer Holtzclaw of these events that it was a get out of jail free card?
No, it had nothing to do with that.
May I have just one moment, Your Honor?
Yes.
Ms. Lyles, you previously testified in our direct examination that whenever the door was opened, the dome light to Officer Holtzclaw's squad car was illuminating or on, correct?
Uh-huh. Yes.
Are you aware of the fact that those dome lights in the police cars do not come on? Do you have any knowledge of that?
Facts not in evidence, Your Honor.
Overruled. You can answer if you know.
I believe it did come on because for a fact it was every police car been in the lights came on.
Okay, now you testified earlier on direct examination that while these events were going on, that you actually squatted down and were giving oral to Officer Holtzclaw, correct?
Yes.
And that would have been after you're saying that he had intercourse with you.
It was back and forth.
Okay. Do you recall testifying in the preliminary hearing that when you allegedly gave oral sex to Officer Holtzclaw, you were inside the squad car?
I wasn't. I was knelt down.
Do what?
I was kneeled down.
Inside the squad car?
No.
Do you recall testifying at the preliminary hearing that you were inside the
No, I
quad
don't.
car when you allegedly performed oral sex on Officer Holtzclaw?
No, I don't recall.
You don't recall that.
No.
You testified earlier on direct examination that Officer Holtzclaw, after he let you out, stayed there for some period of time. Do you recall that?
He stayed there enough for me to walk off. I didn't look back. I just kept going.
Do you have any idea how long Officer Holtzclaw stayed there?
No, I don't. I just knew I start seeing him coming the opposite way before he saw me walk off from.
And that's all you remember?
Yes.
But you couldn't tell us how long you believe he stayed there.
No.
Pass the witness.
All right. Redirect.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Ma'am, at the preliminary hearing, Mr. Adams asked about whether or not your feet stayed in the car or whether or not you got out of the car. Do you remember that?
Uh-huh. Yes.
Your memory is what?
Huh?
What's your memory about that?
I remember getting all the way out of the car.
And at some point, whenever he was having sex with you, ma'am, you were bent over the car?
Yes.
May I approach, Judge?
May approach.
Counsel, page 96, line 10. Do you see the question? It was, question, you got out of the car and bent over, or how did you bend over? Your answer, it was just part of my body was outside the car and I was still leaning inside the car. Question, were your feet outside the car? Answer, what?
Yes.
Now, ma'am, in fairness, that's talking about sex, okay?
Yes.
On that page that Mr. Adams asked you about, do you remember at preliminary hearings saying that when the oral was happening, you were still inside the car? Were you still inside the car sitting there whenever the oral was happening, or were you outside of the car leaning down like this?
I was outside the car leaning down like that.
Okay, but in regards to the way his penis was, okay, ma'am, did he ever undo his pants and pull them down
No, he just pulled his zipper down.
during the oral or during the sex?
Yeah. It just had his zipper down.
And at page 95, line 9, okay, question, do you know how he pulled it out?
Your Honor, I would object, as it's not, unless he's impeaching the witness or if he's just having to reread her testimony, it's improper.
All right. Come up. Come up here a minute. All right. So your objection is what?
My objection is he's just having her read her preliminary hearing transcript testimony. He's not even impeaching her. He's just having her go back and just bolster her testimony. I would have her say something, then show, and I would impeach her with that testimony. He's just having her read it, and it's consistent with what she's already testified to on direct. That's what I brought up in cross.
Prior consistent statements are admissible in refuting prior inconsistent statements on cross-examination. The evidence code allows me to point out prior consistent statements.
Well, you're allowed to ask her questions. You're not allowed to read the transcript if she needs to.
We've been reading the transcript all the way through this trial, Your Honor. That's fine. I'll do it a different way.
Well,
That's fine. Ma'am, do you remember testifying at the preliminary hearing when you were asked about how he got his penis out, that he unzipped it, his pants, and pulled it out?
Object to leading, Your Honor.
all right. Sustained.
Ma'am, do you remember what you said at the preliminary hearing, during the preliminary hearing, about how he got his penis out?
Unzipped his pants and pulled it out.
And is that, in fact, what you did testify at the preliminary hearing?
Yes.
Do you also remember, ma'am, in regards to the way his pants were telling Detective Davis about something hidden your rear end?
Yes.
And what did you tell Detective Davis during your interview before you ever testified about that?
I was, when he had me bent over, I just felt something kept hitting me, making me sore or something. It was irritating. and it felt like it could have been his gun or something. It was kind of,
You told Detective Davis that as well, did you not?
yes.
Ma'am, in regards to the case that you just recently picked up, okay? Do you remember that?
Uh-huh.
Did that happen? Did your charge or you getting accused of that new case happen after this event with this police officer or before?
Yeah, it was after.
And did you go to jail on that?
Yes.
And counsel asked several times, did you think it was a get out of jail free card, ma'am? Did you get out of jail free?
No.
In fact, whenever Detective Davis and I talked to you before today, where were you?
In jail.
Okay. And did we get you out of jail that day?
No.
Ma'am, whenever you entered your plea on that new case, did you go in front of a judge?
Yes.
Did that judge approve your plea deal?
Yes.
Object to the form of the question, Your Honor.
Overruled. You can answer that.
Did he sign off on the paperwork you filled out?
Yes.
Was either myself or Ms. McConnell there the day that you pled to that?
No.
Did you ever talk to us about getting that case resolved for you?
No.
Object to the form, Judge.
Overruled.
And the fact that you got probation again, was that something the judge approved?
Yes.
Ma'am, in regards to the lights, do you know whether or not this police officer had a computer in his car?
Yes, he did.
Was the computer on?
Yes.
Did the computer make the light come out?
Yes.
I think the last thing I want to ask you about, Ms. Lyles, is this, and that is, Mr. Adams had asked you several questions about you telling the police officer that you did not want to be seen in the car. Remember that?
Yes.
And I think he's asked you several questions about being seen in this neighborhood in a police car could be bad to be labeled a snitch.
Yes.
And you didn't want to be labeled a snitch.
Yes.
Did you tell this police officer that?
Yes.
Did you tell him that's why you didn't want to go with him?
Yes.
Did you tell him to not drive you and that you just wanted to walk that night?
Yes.
Ma'am, that night, whenever he stopped you at 16th and Lottie, have you done anything illegal?
No.
Did you have warrants?
No.
Did he have any reason to detain you that you know of?
No.
Did he ever tell you that he was going to detain you for some reason?
No.
Object to the form, Judge.
Overruled.
Did he say he was going to take you to jail for something?
No.
Did he say he was going to take you to detox?
No.
Judge, again, object to the form.
Overruled.
And suggestive.
What's the only thing you told him about getting a ride that night?
I didn't want to be seen with him.
And even though you told him that, he kept you in the car anyway?
Yes.
And kept you in the car until he let you out?
Yes.
Pass the witness.
Anything further, Mr. Adams?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you, ma'am. You can step down. Who's your next witness?
James Anderson.
Step right in front of me, please. All right. If you have a seat over here in this chair, once you get situated, pull that microphone right around in front of you. If you would state your name and spell it for us, please.
My name is James Anderson. JAMESANDERSON.
All right. Thank you. You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Do you know a person by the name of Kala Lyles?
Yes.
And how do you know her?
How do I know her?
How do you know her?
She's my girlfriend.
Okay. And how long have you been in a relationship with Ms. Lyles?
About like 8-9 years.
I want to draw your attention to the summer of 2014. Were you living at the Relax Inn during that time period?
Yes.
Okay. And did Ms. Lyles reside with you there sometimes?
Yes.
Okay. While you were residing at the Relax Inn, did you and Ms. Lyles get in an argument sometime during the summer of 2014?
Yes.
Okay, Goofy. And okay. That's what you sound like to me. Okay.
I'm trying to switch the southern
I
accents
know,
up.
I know. You're doing great. After you got in that argument, did she leave your residence?
Yes, she did.
What happened after she left your residence?
She called. We talked for a little bit. She said she was gonna get pulled over by police.
And that was while you were on the phone with her.
Yep.
After she told you she was going to get pulled over by a police officer, did she stay on the phone with you or something else?
I asked her to stay on the phone, but it hung up.
Okay. What did you do after her phone hung up on you?
Kept calling.
Okay. Did you get an answer when you kept calling her?
Nope.
At some point, did you manage to get Ms. Lyles on the phone?
Yes, because she called.
Okay. How much longer from whenever Ms. Lyles said that she was getting pulled over by that police officer to whenever she finally got back on the phone with you?
I want to say probably 20, 30 minutes.
Okay. Whenever Ms. Lyles got back on the phone with you, how was she acting?
She was crying.
Has she been crying before she got off the phone with you?
Nope.
Okay. So whenever she told you the police officer was fixing to stop her, was she crying then?
Nope.
Without telling me what she said, what was the topic of conversation that Ms. Lyles had with you on the phone that second time?
The second time
Uh-huh.
that had been harassed.
Judge, I would object to.
Hang on. Sustained.
Did she give you some information about a police officer in that second conversation on the phone?
She just said that she was.
Judge, I object.
Well, and don't tell me what she said, Mr. Anderson. Did she give you information about a police officer?
Yes.
Did she come back to where you were staying at the Relax Inn?
Yes.
About how much longer before she got back to the Relax Inn?
I'd say about 5-10 minutes.
Was she still crying or had her demeanor changed whenever she got back to the inn?
She was still crying.
Did you speak more with her about this police officer at that point?
Except for what I told her, she needs to report it.
Okay. Was that something that Ms. Lyles wanted to do?
She did, but she was kind of scared.
Did you call the police that night?
No,
Why not?
I don't know.
But you wanted Ms. Lyles to report.
Yes.
You said she was kind of scared. Is that what she had told you?
Yeah.
The phone that had been communicating with Ms. Lyles back and forth on that night, was it your personal phone or was it a phone at the inn?
A phone at the Relax Inn.
Does the number 424-3070 sound familiar?
I think that's the number for the Relax Inn.
Is that the number you were calling Ms. Lyles on that night?
Yes.
May I have a brief moment, Your Honor?
Yes.
I'll pass the witness.
I don't have any questions for this witness.
All right. Thank you, sir. You can step down. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this will be a good time for us to take an afternoon break.
Whew. You know, when I'm putting those endings together, I've just started doing that. I explained last week, because I think it's really important for me to do my best to humanize Daniel, because of the way they demonized him and made him such a tried to make him such a horrible, evil person. And so I decided I want to start trying to show those, little things at the end. And when I'm putting them together, it's just work. Like I'm just doing the work, right? But then when I'm watching it back live, last week and this one, it makes me cry. It's just so heartbreaking to me. Anyway, so first of all, great job by everyone who read those transcripts. You guys were fabulous. Rick and Richard, Davy, Jennifer.
I don't know how I made it through him testifying as her boyfriend. What I said in the chat was absolutely right. That entire time he was doing that voice, all I could see in my head was Scooby Dum on the witness stand.
Yeah. I could see everyone's comments, but I didn't want to highlight them during the actual recording of the testimony. I just want to keep those as clean as possible as far as, future replay and stuff. But yeah, Scooby Dum on the stand. Yeah. And then Jennifer just piping up in the middle. Okay, Goofy. It just was like, there was a whole lot more that got said during that little break that we took. I cut it out. At some point, I hope to be able to add all those things that I did cut out into a bloopers thing. Right now, it's just all I can do to keep up with editing videos from week to week as we read transcripts. So that's the most important thing to me right now. At some point, I'll put together some bloopers, but it'll be a minute. Anyway, so Rick. First of all, I would love to see questions or comments from everybody in the chat. If you, like I said, I was watching all the comments as you guys were making them and trying to respond to some of them and adding in my own little commentary. What I want to do, Rick, first of all, tell us your thoughts right now.
The entire thing is insane. It's just insane. Between her interview with the detectives and the preliminary hearing and then the trial, she gave like 3 or 4 different versions of events.
Right. I did find the the audio interview with the detectives that she gave the detectives September 16th of 2014. I have it. Because it's just audio and it's not really very easy to make out all the words. I want to transcribe it for you before I make it public. So, I mean, we may be completely past, this case by the time I can get that done. But yeah, so this particular case, well, let me just say this from the top. And I noticed that Crockett made a comment earlier. Oh, there's Crockett. Hey, Crockett, it's great to see you too. It's great to see everybody in chat. I've tried to address everyone in the comments as you've rolled by. Crockett said something about it was how upsetting it is that this testimony led to him being found guilty. I'm pretty sure I've said this before, but I want to say it again. Daniel was found not guilty on all of the charges from made against him. Crockett, thank you so much for stopping by. It was great to have you, and I love having your comments and just having your presence in the chat is awesome. Thank you. But Daniel was found not guilty on all of the charges that all of the allegations she made against him. You've listened to her preliminary hearing. We went over the police report. You've listened to her preliminary testimony, and now you've heard her trial testimony. It's, for me to say, it's not surprising that he was found not guilty, on her case, because we listened to in real time, well, not real time, but in these transcripts, we listened to her lie, be inconsistent, and just make stupid comments during her testimony that any person, just if this is the only thing you hear about Daniel's case is this trial transcript, this testimony, you would say, oh, this lady's crazy, she's lying. There's no way that she's any of what she's saying is truthful. And I would agree with you, absolutely. The thing is that there's other testimony from other accusers during this trial that is maybe not quite as graphic and disgusting as hers is. I'm pretty sure hers is the worst. Shardarian Hill and possibly Adara Gardner have some parts of their testimonies that are as graphic as well. I don't feel like any of theirs is even as graphic as hers, though. It's been a minute, but that's my recollection. He was found guilty on the charges from Adara Gardner. I believe he also was found not guilty on Shardarian Hill, and I think that's worth noting to you guys. That again, 36 counts, 13 accusers, 36 counts, and he was found guilty on literally half of those charges. So he was found guilty on 18 charges for the total of all these accusers. So yeah, there are some testimonies or whatever that the jury was just like, nah, I don't know. But there's still so much more that they found him guilty on, which makes no sense at all. And I'll just start back with Janie Liggins, the very first person who accused Daniel of anything. There's zero evidence whatsoever of her allegations against Daniel, yet he got 60 years based on, I think there were 2 counts that she alleged or that they made for her. And he got 60 years on an accuser with absolutely zero evidence. Well, there's no evidence in any of these, first of all, let me just say that. But we're talking about the DNA was taken, the original DNA was taken from Janie Liggins, and not DNA, but testing. She's the one who had the SANE exam done, and she claims that Officer Holtzclaw had forced her to give him oral sex, but there was no evidence whatsoever of that happening that they could find forensically in any way, shape, or form. So, at any rate, it's so hard to go on tangents here. So, just stating that again, he was found not guilty on all of these charges by Kala Lyles, and thank God for that, because this was some of the most ridiculous testimony so far, well, of the entire case. I want to show you guys some pictures of, I have to do this via screen share, I think. So there were very few, where Where is it at? Oh, there were very, very few. Is this it? No. Oh, there it is. I think this is it. Okay. Can you guys see that on YouTube and on the Streamyard screen?
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah, we can see it in. Okay, there it is on YouTube. Got it. Okay, perfect. I'm going to show you guys some pictures because during Kala Lyles' testimony, we did see a few exhibits that Giger, presented to the jury. Very few, and I showed you those exhibits, the ones that he presented. But what's important is that he didn't. So this particular, and all of these are going to be out of order as I comment, or Rick, as you comment. These are going to all be out of any kind of. There's no sequence to them, but this picture is a picture of the area where Kala Lyles says she was taken to by Officer Holtzclaw. Can you guys see my cursor? I don't know why I can't get a pointer thing or whatever, but
Yeah, we see it.
Okay, perfect. All right. So all of these little things that you see here, well, you can't read what they say, but these are all AVL hits from Daniel's patrol car. This is not June 18th of 2014. This is May 6th or 7th of 2014. And this is from the Sherry Ellis case. I don't know if they showed anything like this to the jury, but when he was talking about, I'm going to show you some pictures, and during Kayla's case, I'm going to show you some pictures, and have you see if you can get oriented. Blah 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 blah. So this is the area where she claims the assault occurs. Again, this is an exhibit from the trial. It's not from Kala Lyles, though. There's so many things wrong with how Kayla's case was presented. At any rate, this is the school. Over here is the school that she talks about. Up here, kind of off of the, I don't think it's you can't see it on this one, but to the left, so this is 23rd Street right here. So to the left is Highland, and 23rd, where the Relax Inn is over off to the left. And I have a picture of that as well. So I don't know if he shows this to her or not at the trial, because if he did, he didn't name the exhibit. However, my not having been at the trial, obviously, I can only imagine that this is one that he showed to her, even though it didn't belong to her date specifically. So this is it. This street over here is Miramar, and I haven't marked any of this up because it's an exhibit. So I haven't marked it, but this over here to the right is Miramar, and Kala Lyles talks about Miramar very briefly. This is the cul-de-sac here, or the dead end, where Kala Lyles and Sherry Ellis both claim that he, using the same words, each of them using the same words, where he hopped the curb here, which when Cherie and I were there in July of 2023, I think it was, we drove here, we were there, and the curb is short and is small enough that he could actually hop the curb. And Brian Bates, in the Sherry Ellis case, he has a great illustration. If you go check out Sherry Ellis's homepage on holtzclawtrial.com, Brian Bates did a great illustration of what he believes. Again, Brian Bates was the investigator for Scott Adams, for Daniel. He breaks it down in a lot of detail, and I really encourage all of you to go to that I didn't happen to pull that one up, but go to that and see what Brian Bates did and what his theory is of how there is a time lapse between when Sherry Ellis and Kala Lyles say that, he hopped the curb, uh, and then they show timestamp or AVL stamps of him over here on Miramar. And there's, valid reasons for why he would have just completely innocently driven here to this dead end, hopped the curb, and then went over to Miramar and perhaps parked here on Miramar somewhere to fill out paperwork or whatever he may have done. At any rate, Brian Bates suggests he has a suggestion that he shows a squigglies of path that he makes of how everything occurred. What we've heard and been told from people very close to the case is that this park right here that you can kind of see, and you'll see a better picture of it in a minute, but this park right here was where Daniel and other officers too, not just Daniel, but would see people hanging out over here on these little park toys or over here in this area, because this is pretty much all an abandoned area. And so Daniel, from according to Brian Bates, during his doing his work, his investigative work, Daniel and other officers would drive through here, see people hanging out late at night, after midnight, hanging out on these little park toys or in this area, doing things, maybe doing nothing, but at that time of night, this just shouldn't be there. So I definitely recommend that you check out that picture on the Sherry Ellis homepage at holtzclawtrial.com. So just to kind of give you guys an orient you, I don't know the right words. This is 16th and Lottie, where the initial stop took place. Well, I said initial, but I believe this is where the stop took place and where it ended. And it's, I don't know, let me see if I can zoom in on this and how it will work. Actually, I have a better picture, but on 16th Street, which runs east and west, about the second or third house in is where this stop, you can see via the AVL where the stop occurs, is right there. And it's about, I don't remember exactly, but I'm pretty sure it was around 13 to 14 minutes long, the stop, which is, I don't know about everybody else, and I've said this every time I talk about AVL. To me, it's logical that a stop is around 15 minutes long. Kim Davis thinks that's a really long time for a traffic stop, but Kim Davis is stupid. So, and she's trying to make somebody a serial rapist. So, I don't know, Rick, you tell me, what do you think? You think?
Depends on what the reason for the stop is.
Right. Based on what
I mean, I've done, when I worked as an officer, I had stops that were 3 or 4 minutes. I had stops that were 25 minutes.
Right. Sure. Yeah, exactly. Depends on what the situation is, for sure. Absolutely. According to the AVL, Daniel's stops were all, not all, but most of them were less than, were anywhere from 13 to 20 minutes in some cases, 21, 22 minutes in some cases. So like Rick said, depends on the situation. I also want to point out, because this is important, right down here I have a yellow pin in this house. This is Tabitha Barnes' residence, Northeast 14th and Jordan. Or I think it should be 15th and Jordan. Oh, I know why it's 14th, because that's where Rosetta Great stopped. was stopped. But anyway, where that red pin is where Barnes' residence is, and it's actually above the writing there. It's Northeast 15th where Barnes lived. So keep in mind as we're going through this, because Daniel believed at the time that Barnes' house was a trap house, that she was selling drugs and whatever else out of this home. So he was paying close attention to this area. It's not that far from 16th and Lottie. And we know that Kala Lyles sold drugs, did drugs, has all that history, right? Okay, so anyway, this is Northeast 16th and Lottie, and she says that he drove her all the way down here to Northeast 16th and Lottie and Highland. And Highland runs north and south. This here, where I have it marked with this black, that's 18th Street, Northeast 18th Street. You can kind of see a little bit, and I have a better picture of it coming up, but this is the park at 18th Street. And then she says that she walked from initially the Relax Inn, which is up there. Oh, it went away. I waited way too small. Oh, God, I shouldn't be trying to mess with shit. She says that she had left the Relax Inn up here, and I kind of gave you an interactive show of that during the transcript. She was walking from there. Somehow, she ends up over here at 16th and Lottie. We don't get any testimony of why she was, from the Relax Inn over here, down here on 16th and Lottie, other than she just took a walk. Could mean nothing. Could be nothing to it. I don't know. I'm only speculating here, but I just think it's interesting that it was that close to Tabitha Barnes' house. That's just my thought about that. Okay, this is a little more the same picture, I guess, basically. This is the pictures in holtzclawtrial.com. I believe Cherie got these for us. And I don't know if she got these from Kala Lyles' homepage or if these are from Sherry Ellis's homepage, because Sherry Ellis's story is almost identical. Well, Kala Lyles' story is almost identical to Sherry Ellis's. So anyway, these are the buildings where she says, here's the light pole where she says it happened right there. And Giger says, but the light wasn't on. No, the light wasn't on, but it happened right here. Okay, Kala. This is just another picture, another view of this. This is that same building that we were just looking at. The light post is over here to the right. Here's the park, and just behind Bates' logo is the curb that he hopped. This is another picture of the area of where I'm not really sure. I don't know if Sherry Ellis references this cage or not, but at any rate, that's on the thing. So maybe now this can kind of help orient you as well. This is here. We're looking at the curb, the cul-de-sac curb right here. This is the building right here where Kala Lyles says she was taken to basically he drove around that little building there to assault her. This is another view of the cul-de-sac. I don't know how I got these in here twice. Here's the park. So here's the curb that Officer Holtzclaw drove over, and it's like I said, it's not very tall. It's it's easy to drive over this. We measured it when we were there a couple of summers ago, so you can see why Officer Holtzclaw or any other officer might go ahead and come down this dead-end street to check what's going on in this park, because it's kind of a dark abandoned area. So you could kind of see why they would do that. And this, by the way, this picture is in 2014 that Bates has. That he's taken these pictures. Just another view of the area. I want you to kind of, I'm not sure what we have next coming up in pictures, but kind of take notice. You can't really see it, but over here to the left is one of the buildings where Kala Lyles says she was taken to be sexually assaulted. But pay attention to these houses over here on Miramar and how close they are to this area, how much they can see. This is an AVL map that I made. This is from, well, I didn't make the map. I highlighted everything. This is from Sherry Ellis's case. Why do I have? Okay, yeah, this is AVL from Daniel's patrol car on June 18th, the night that Kala Lyles says she was assaulted. So we have all these AVL points here. I just put all these things here to make them clearer so you could see what they say, because it's really hard to read what they say. Now, this is from Kala Lyles' police report, this AVL map right here. We don't see this in trial, and I don't know if it's going to come up in Kim Davis's trial next week, because all the technical stuff is going to come out when she testifies. I don't know if she's got this in there or not as an exhibit, but to my knowledge, it's not there as an exhibit. The exhibits that I have looked through, this is not there from the police report. Why? Why isn't this used in the exhibits? I have theories. Okay, this is again from Kala Lyles' police report. This is 16th and Lottie. This is Lottie north and south, and this is 16th Street north and east, or east and west. These are the places where this is during the stop. This is when the stop occurs. Am I boring everyone? Rick, can you see the chat? Okay. This is where the stop occurs, according to Daniel's ABL that night. At 1:21:55 a.m., going 14 knots, or we just had a discussion about this the other day when we were reading transcripts. Knots and speed are used interchangeably in this trial. Bates does have I don't remember which episode it's in. I see Cherie just popped into chat. I can barely see her. Hi, Cherie. Sorry I'm doing this when you're not able to be here with us. Thank you for stopping and checking in, though. So this is in the police report. Again, to my knowledge, we're not seeing this in Kim Davis's testimony. Rick, you were reading with us Saturday when we started. Do you remember them talking about any AVL map exhibits?
No, I don't specifically know.
Yeah. I don't remember. We'll see when I get, when I'm editing it, what exhibits I can add and stuff. At any rate, this is the initial stop. June 18th, 1:21:55 a.m. He was going, we really don't know what direction he was going, to be honest. If he was going north and south off of Lottie, or did he come east and west off of Northeast 16th? We don't know. Why don't we know? Because in almost every other AVL map that we have from a police report, we get all sorts of Daniel's AVL points during any given time that they're, talking about any other accuser. But we don't have that with Kala Lyles. This is what we have for Kala Lyles, and I'll explain in a minute why this is significant to me. So whatever he stops here and stops Kala Lyles for whatever reason, because it's 1:21 in the morning, and she's walking by herself in a high crime drug area. So he stops her. Terry stop? I'll agree with the Terry stops or not. This is what Daniel was doing. So he stops her at 1:26:55 a.m. He's still stopped in this location. So according to Joe Hill, we need to find his transcript, you guys, and read it and record it so that this all makes more sense. But Joe Hill explains how all of this, he's the one who does the AVL, gets the AVL information for Kim Davis. I don't know if I trust him or not yet. Honestly, I don't trust any of these AVL maps. I will tell you that much. But at any rate, he says that when a vehicle is stopped for let's see if I can say this right, 4 minutes and 59 seconds. If it's stopped, it's going to show a 0 speed for that long. If another 4 minutes and 59 seconds pass, then we have another 0 speed stop. So right here, Rick, you're on the panel. You're probably, and maybe others in the chat can also explain this or understand it or make it make sense. But the initial stop started at, according to this, at 1:26:55 a.m. Does that sound logical, what I'm saying, Rick? Because
it would be somewhere. The stop would have occurred between the 1:21:55 and 1:26:55.
Okay.
Because remember the explanation of how it works. After 4 minutes and 59 seconds. Right. That's a 5-minute difference. So somewhere in that 5-minute period is when he actually stopped and approached her.
Right. Okay. So he's at 0 speed right here at this second point.
Mm-hmm.
At 1:31:10 a.m., he's now traveling 11 knots or 11 mph, whichever it is. I put knots, but again, that's based off of what Bates had said. But I don't. You heard during this testimony that it could be miles per hour according to Giger. So it's hard to know. Rick, I know you explained this the other day. Can you try to explain again, just if for only my benefit, what the speed difference is between knots and miles per hour?
1 knot equals 1.51 miles per hour. So that 14 knots would be just over 16 miles an hour. The 11 would be like 12.6 miles an hour.
Okay. All right. Sorry, I had to take a drink. When I'm yapping so much, my mouth gets dry. Okay. So at any rate, those are the speeds. I should probably go in and take out the knots because I don't know if that's for sure what it is. It doesn't say here. Or look and see what Brian Bates said about it. At any rate, we're looking at the time here between I don't know why I didn't do the math and put it on here. I've done it before on other ones.
Under your scars, 1.151 miles per hour to knot.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Under Your Scars. And thank you, Rick. So if you do the math, we're looking at barely is that a little over 10 minutes? Is that just without pulling out a calculator, because that's how
A little
bad
under
I am.
10.
A little under
What
10.
121.55 to 131.10, so 15 seconds short of 10 minutes.
Okay. And by that time, by 131.10, he's already up to 11 mph or knots, whichever it is. He's already up to that. So again, not a long time for a traffic stop, in my opinion. I've been pulled over by cops for simply speeding or, unregistered vehicle way back in the day when I was so poor I couldn't register my vehicle as a single woman with a bunch of kids, blah, 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 all that stuff. At any rate, I can't think of a time when I was stopped for less than 15 minutes, because it's always, and I think most people will agree with me, as you're sitting there, you feel like the cops are purposely taking their time to get to find out, run all your information and everything. Sometimes you feel like they're purposely taking their time. I have no proof of that, but that's how I felt in the past. At any rate, 15 minutes is not a long time, in my opinion, for any basic traffic stop. Certainly not for this one here with Kala Lyles that night. So this is from her police report, like I said. Then, I don't know, I'll show you the next one in a minute when it comes up. Like I said, these aren't in any order. This one is, I did this from Google Earth Pro. I set the history back to, because you can do that in Google Earth, you can set the time period back to, I don't know how far, but I've always gone back to 2014, because that's the year Daniel's case took place. But at any rate, so this map is set back to May of 2014. So this is a great picture of the cul-de-sac here and the park here, and over here on the right is Miramar. And then this is the school. Well, it doesn't have the whole picture, but above that is the school that runs east and west on 23rd Street. This is, as far as I've been able to tell, this right here is the area where Sherry Ellis and Kala Lyles both say they were taken in May and in June of 2014, where they were taken to be assaulted by Officer Holtzclaw. Now, again, I have better pictures that I probably could have put in here, but I didn't. Maybe I did. I don't know what I put in here. But at any rate, I want you to kind of, if you can, look over here on Miramar. Directly across the street is a row of homes. And I think I don't know if Cherie's still in the chat or not, but I think that we counted 6 homes that run this direction. And starting from this one going north, there's at least 4 more homes, if I'm not mistaken. My point is, why I'm saying that is, in 2014, I think it would be really, really risky for anybody to pull up here in this area and do anything, have sex, do drugs, sit and write in a journal, talk on the phone. This is visible by these homes. Granted, at this particular time with Kala Lyles, it was allegedly, because I don't believe Kala Lyles ever got brought here, and I'll tell you why in a minute. And it's going to come up in Kim Davis's testimony next weekend. But I don't believe that Kala Lyles was ever transported from Northeast 16th and Lottie, where she was stopped. I don't believe she was transported and brought over here at all. There's nothing in me that believes it. However, we do have, I didn't put the AVL hits in here. I wanted to, and I might at some point, but there's several points here where there is AVL hits from Daniel's patrol car on June 18th at, I think it was 1:32 to, basically it looks like he left from Northeast 16th and Lottie, where he stopped Kala Lyles, and drove over here to the park where he has been before. And I think he's been there many times before, near the ends of his shifts. Because also it's important to say that this is about 30 minutes before his shift ends and 30 minutes before after he's off of duty that night or that morning that he stopped Janie Liggins. So the thing about this is, I did put points here. There are 2 AVL points here of where they pick up AVL, and then there are several over here where they pick him up in AVL. So this is Northeast 16th and Lottie, and then I've shown you the fuller map of Northeast 16th and Lottie to the school, Highland Avenue Street, Boulevard, whatever it is. There is no AVL, no Google, no anything between here and here as exhibits to show at the trial. Nothing. Why is that a big deal? Because in just about every other accuser case that we have, that there is, we have crazy AVL points from an alleged start pickup location to, what direction he went after this and after that. Have tons of it. So that's why that's a big deal. There's nothing in between there. Okay, again, this is just a picture of kind of to illustrate, and I think Rick talked about it last weekend, kind of illustrate how unlikely and almost impossible it would be for Daniel to just unzip that fly and whip out his penis to have it sucked on, or to perform, to do a vaginal rape of anybody. Rick's talked about that. I really don't know that I really even need to say more, except that underneath here, he's got his shirt tucked in. He's wearing the compression shorts that don't have a fly. And his shirt is always nice and taut like this. And you can see the pleats right here on this side because he's wearing shirt stays. He has shirt stays clipped to his uniform shirt that go down around under the heel, under the sole of his foot, over his socks, to keep that shirt taut and to keep it in place as he's working. He's not the only one. I think that's a common thing for officers, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So, and then Rick talked, I think last week when we talked about this, he talked about all these other things here, the belt, Officer Holtzclaw. Now, this picture was taken, by the way, the afternoon of June 18th during the, when Davis and Gregory interrogated him. I think it was taken, I don't know when it was taken, either before or after the interrogation. Doesn't matter. It's the same day. But, Rick has talked about the pepper spray. This is his weapon over here, his sidearm, his radio over here. Kala Lyles mentions that, which is weird because this is something that Rosetta Great says as well, that his gun, as he was, according to them, vaginally raping them, his gun was hitting their butt cheeks. First of all, Rick, tell us how implausible, impossible, incredibly unlikely is it that he is just raping somebody through the zipper of his pants?
It's not possible.
and that the gun is hitting them in their ass while he's doing it.
It's not possible.
Just ludicrous to me. It's just ludicrous that anybody. I can't say it anymore. It's just, it is. And I think people agree. And then this is not the pants, the underwear that Daniel was wearing that night, but this was the underwear that he wore while he was working.
Yeah, you don't wear holsters like that anymore, Liam. The reason that those holsters are rigid and lock on like that is they're what we call safety holsters. There's only one person that can draw that weapon from that holster, and that's the officer. Because of the way it's designed, if it tries to get pulled from any other direction other than him straight up with his thumb on the lock release, it won't come out.
Yeah, well, and that makes perfect sense. I mean, that has to be, right? It has to be that way. But these are a pair of Daniel's compression shorts that he wore every day on duty. Again, this is a bigger picture of how, or a smaller picture, I'll try to make it bigger, of how, of what Daniel would have been wearing under his, how his uniform was put together. So these are the shirt stays that I talked about here. The boots, that's another thing. You know, his boots. The shirt stays aren't just held down by, a pair of, Nike sneakers over them. There's like, those are freaking boots that those stays are held in place with. The vest. And Rick mentioned something last week about the sound of Velcro. There should have been sounds of Velcro ripping if he was undoing that part of his uniform to sexually assault somebody. But of course there is none of that, or we don't get testimony about that. Okay, this is back to the picture here, back to the scene. This is just my Google Earth view of Highland Avenue over here in the red, the park here, Northeast 18th Street in the black, and the school. So this is the part that was kind of cut off a minute ago that I was showing you. We can only see from this part down. This is an abandoned school, or I don't know if it's abandoned, but so when you hear Kala Lyles or Sherry Ellis talking about this abandoned school, this is what they're actually talking about. Now, this is actually a great image to show you about the homes. This is 23rd Street across here, and I'll talk. That's relevant because that's the street that the Relax Inn is on. At any rate, these are the homes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I was pretty close. So there's at least 2 homes, possibly 3 or 4, depending, I guess, on where these women actually, are claiming that they were sexually assaulted at. At any rate, there's at least 2, where they could have, got up to shut the dog up from barking at 1:30 in the morning, or, whatever, and seen odd behavior going on over here. They probably were used to seeing it here, but maybe not over here behind the building where Kala Lyles says she was assaulted. So that's a bigger overview of that one spot. Okay, then this is where Kala Lyles, down here where the red pin is, that's where she claims she wanted to be dropped off. Down here in the yellow is Northeast 16th Street. And the red is Highland Drive. She claims she wanted to be dropped off here so she could just walk back up here to Northeast 23rd Street to go back to the Relax Inn. I can't see it on this particular picture, but the Relax Inn would have been over here in this area. think I have a better picture of that.
Oh, it's the Relax Inn is a lot farther north than that.
No, it's on 23rd Street. I'm pretty sure it's on 23rd Street. Double check me.
No, it's farther north than that.
Then here?
Yeah, those are all homes. There's no hotel there. The hotel was not right by the school. It was much further north
Oh,
than that.
north. Yes, you're right. It's up here where I'm so sorry. You're right. My mistake. I'll have a better picture of that in a second, I promise. Yeah, there's so the Relax Inn was farther up. Rick was right. So back over here, northeast, and Lottie is over here to the left. We don't have any travel AVL from Daniel on this particular street. I think we don't have it because I think it would have shown that is not where Daniel went after he stopped Kala Lyles, or well, that he made a beeline for here to go to Northeast 16th. I think that we would see that, or 18th. I think that's what we would see, is a path that was not what she claimed it was. Okay, so there's the Relax Inn. This is northeast. Yeah, way north. What am I talking about? I'm trying to think. It is northeast 23rd Street. I'm getting, so what happens is now that we're going north, I'm not counting my streets right. Because this is 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Oh, see, that's what I did. Anyway, at any rate, this is where I looked it up, but this is the Relax Inn right here. And this is from May 2014. Again, a better overview picture here of Northeast 16th and Lottie. And then you can't see it here, but underneath the pin here is where Tabitha Barnes lived. Also, this is Oklahoma State Capitol over here. All of these things were going on that close to the Capitol. It's really sad. Not the assaults, but the crime. This high crime area is right near the Oklahoma State Capitol. Okay, again, this is just a 2000 May 2014. Relax Inn is right there. The school is over here, and the same kind of picture. I guess part of my point of showing you these pictures is, the state could have done the same things to use as exhibits. They have in other cases. They use all kinds of pictures like this, albeit in black and white usually, which is fine, for other accusers. Accusations, but they don't do that in this particular case. There's a reason why, and all of my reasons that I would give you would be purely speculative. This is down here where the alleged assault took place. Again, we have at least 2 homes that may have been able to see whatever was going on there. Trees, there are, other than the trees, I guess, in this yard. I didn't take the street view of that, but other than the trees right here, there's no trees blocking. They did say between these 2 buildings, so maybe they're talking here. I don't really know. There's pictures in holtzclawtrial.com on Sherry Ellis's homepage. All the detail pictures. Just a wider view of that again. Kind of showing you all of that. Again, May 2014. Sherry Ellis was allegedly taken to this location in May 7th, I think, of 2014. So very, very accurate. And then just a wider view of that. And it looks like that's all the pictures I have. Yeah. So I guess one of my biggest complaints is that based on the police report AVLs, we have this, and then we have Nothing, no path of travel from there, Northeast 16th and Lottie. We don't have AVL point travel from there to the 18th and Highland. What happened? Where is that? Because it's absolutely present in a lot of other accuser cases. I don't know. That's just. So I kind of felt like that was important to show you guys, just so you guys have a better idea of. Oops, let me get us all up on stage here. Whoa, where are we? There we are. Of what the area looked like and what the jury could have been shown if they had if this accusation or any of the other accusations were legitimate. Instead, all that he showed, all that Giger showed to Kala Lyles were those two. What are those called? Google Map pictures, which were completely useless, in my opinion. Anyway, so many questions, so many lies. Thank God he was found not guilty on these charges. But if you remember back to the preliminary hearing, Galen Giger, because of testimony that Kala Lyles gave during preliminary, he had to amend one of the charges against Daniel. But not to worry, because he still bolstered another charge anyway. So I don't even know where else to I mean, the testimony, I think, speaks for itself. I don't know if anybody in the chat that was listening found her credible at all at any point during her testimony. I sure didn't. I made a comment in the chat while we were listening to the video that, what a great job everyone that was reading had done and has done, is doing. None of these people that are reading these transcripts for us knew anything about Daniel's case whatsoever, with the exception of Rick. Prior to beginning the reading, they all knew I needed help with reading, and they, some of them have time that they can just do that, and it's no. Some of them just love the idea of being able to read trial transcripts, just kind of like the reason I like reading trial transcripts, because it's so interesting. And, they had an interest in reading trial transcripts in general. But at some point during this, when Richard was reading the part for Scott Adams, and he's cross-examining Kala Lyles, and trying to think of which point it was that, he asked her what the date was or something to that effect, I believe. And she said she didn't remember. First of all, that's not new. I will tell you guys that none of these accusers know the date. They don't know the date. They don't know the month. They don't know the time. They're led to make claims of when the thing happened. Because also, it's important to know, for those who aren't familiar with the case, all of the stops that Daniel has made with these accusers, those stops are all legitimate. Those stops happened, those Terry stops. So that's not in dispute. I think Jennifer said when she was reading the testimony, when Scott Adams said something about, asked her the date, and she said she didn't remember. Jennifer said, as Jennifer, that's crazy. She remembers the exact date in time where she was assaulted, back in 2007, I think Jennifer said November 2007. If somebody is assaulted so egregiously like these women say they were, I would think that they would remember at least the month that their assault took place. At least the month. None of them know the month. They're led to propose a month or by the investigators. Well, was it warm outside? What were you wearing? Were you wearing a sweater? Were you wearing shorts? Were you wearing, pants and a coat? To try to help oh yeah, I was wearing, and that's fine. I guess that's fine. I mean, that's legitimate. But my point with that, all of that is, why can't you remember at least the month that you were assaulted in some serious sexual manner? How could, and then, those who favor all of these accusers, they were on drugs that, they couldn't remember because they were on drugs and, like drinking, mentally ill, all those things. I get it. All those things. Or what's one of the Kim Davis, in somebody's testimony or case that she testifies for, the accuser gets called out for not remembering anything about any of her alleged assault. And Kim Davis comes back during her part and says, I'm paraphrasing, these women are, they're traumatized. And when you've, been traumatized by sexual abuse or blah, 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 whatever, you don't remember and some people don't remember any of it. And some people remember every single detail of it. I agree. There's just, because their stories are so unbelievable and because we can tell that they are reverse engineered or coached or crafted or whatever, however you want to call it, it makes it hard to believe that they just don't remember. All of these women don't remember. Come on. It's completely remarkable to me that many women cannot remember anything except
the exact same words in all their stories.
Yeah, exactly. That's true. A lot of them do use a lot of the same words. Hop the curb. Telling you, I don't know how yet we're going to figure this out, but there is something very, very nefarious. I can't think of a stronger word besides lies, nefarious, corrupt, all those things between Kala Lyles' story and Sherry Ellis's stories. They are, and then you have those who favor the accusers, who believe the accusers. Well, they're saying the exact same thing because he has a pattern. He did the exact same thing to these women. Maybe you can use that argument, but to use the exact same words, some of those words like hop the curb, jump the curb, hop the curb, drove over the curb, I just think I don't know, maybe I'm reading too much into it. I think it's
it was coached.
Yes, it was coached. I don't care. Oh. Anyway. Oh, so I'm just grateful that he was found not guilty with Kala Lyles, because it was so outlandish, the story that she told, and the inconsistencies, throughout, from not even from preliminary to trial, but from direct examination in the trial to cross-examination in the trial. She was the inconsistencies and the lies, and if we all sat down and picked through every single thing she said, there's a lot of lying and inconsistencies that are, in my opinion, obvious, but Scott Adams doesn't address. And that is the problem. Hello, Tammy Baker from Watching the Watchers. I'm glad you were able to catch live. Husky Mom from Rob's channel over on Watching the Watchers. I didn't recognize Tammy Baker, but I do know the name Husky Mom. So thank you for stopping by and joining us. And thank you everybody in the chat. I'm really pleased that there were so many people, that were able to stop at the last minute today, really, and come over and watch and support us. So we really appreciate it very much. Next week, we've already started reading Kim Davis's trial testimony as to Kala Lyles. It was rough. Poor Richard, he was trying to read the part of Galen Gigger yesterday or Saturday. But as you guys can tell, reading either one of these attorneys' words, the only attorney in this trial that speaks semi-coherently is Lori McConnell. She's more of a junior ADA, so we don't hear from her as much, or we hear from her during for witness testimonies, but really not in any of the main accuser testimonies. She has, I can at least understand the questions that she's asking for the most part, but Galen Gigger and Scott Adams both make no sense, and it's been a real challenge for Richard and for Davey and for Scott, who has also read the part for Galen Gigger. It's a challenge for them to read those parts because we're all thinking logically and common sense, using our common sense and our average English vocabulary and sentence forming abilities. And so they're trying to read those thinking, reading it as they think it should be said, the question or the sentence should be said. It's been fascinating listening to these guys read, because it makes me realize how our human brains are so wired to, we're really, I feel like, wired to think logically and use common sense. But then when you're trying to read things that aren't logical and don't make sense, it's a challenge. and these guys have really, had struggled with it because they get frustrated. I know, because I've been frustrated by it too. You get frustrated trying to read their questions or their comments because they just don't make a lot of sense. And if you're a gigger and you're trying to twist everything like a fucking pretzel to lead the witness to say what you need them to say, it's even worse. It's even worse because he's just, I don't know what to say. I don't know what thing I can say for Scott Adams, but being the defense attorney. But Galen Gigger, he's so busy trying to lead a witness without sounding like he's leading a witness and getting them to say things that he needs them to say, that it makes it very difficult to read and understand what he's trying to say. Then when you add in the fact that the court reporter, if there's any punctuation, I don't remember very much of it, but the court reporter is not putting in any punctuation like commas, to help the reader know when they need to, take that beat. They're not there. And so, a lot of times we have to go back and reread something because, there should have been a comma there. That makes that sentence sound completely different now. So,
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, blah, 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 blah. Excuse me.
The only punctuation mark they appear to be able to consistently use is the colon after somebody's name.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's, because Rick prints it out. as I get the PDFs to these guys to read, Rick prints it out. He likes a hard copy, in his hand that he can highlight and make notes on and stuff, which I think is really smart. Thank you for that comment, by the way, Tammy. Yeah, it just, and I'm sorry. First of all, I'm really sorry that happened to you. It just horrible things that other human beings do to human beings. But I hope that you're doing well and finding some peace and being able to recover from that. But yeah, there's got to be something that these women can remember other than a story to tell. And in past interviews by Davis and Rocky Gregory, the way that first of all, the women, if you don't know, all 13 of these women were sought out. None of these women came forward to tell the police that they were sexually assaulted. Janie Liggins made the very first report, and we have a whole, topic of why we believe that happened. And then some could argue Terry Morris's case is a whole clusterfuck of what really drove this case even further into oblivion. But she didn't really come forward either, and she never once accused Daniel Holtzclaw until none of them accused that's just other thing that needs to be said. None of these accusers ever said, I was assaulted by Officer Daniel Holtzclaw. None of them.
No, in fact, one of them described the officer that did it as a short black man.
Right, Sherry Ellis. Absolutely. And if you haven't already seen the video, shame on all of you in the chat. Not everybody, Tammy maybe, and more here because you're not as familiar, but Sherry Ellis, whose case I'm comparing to Kala Lyles, she said that she was sexually assaulted, raped by a short black cop who had darker skin than hers and was about 6 inches shorter than her. And she said that she is 5'10", and that the cop was about 6 inches shorter than her. Daniel Holtzclaw is 6'2", not black at all. In fact, as we've said, he's Asian American. His dad is American. His mother is Japanese, and he's just definitely got white skin. But
well, he's got lighter skin, yeah.
Lighter skin, yeah. So there's the video that I keep referencing that Sherry Ellis, during her deposition, and I made this video clip for the family to use for the media a couple of years ago now, of Sherry Ellis admitting during her deposition, in tears, practically bawling, when she realizes that she accused the wrong man of raping her. But he's still serving. I think he. Oh, I haven't looked at it, but he got over 60 years for the Sherry Ellis.
The charges that stemmed from her, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Giger, one of the things that you talk about him leading the witness and trying to mislead the jury. He made it sound like she just blurted this out to her probation officer. And she didn't. The detectives went to her parents' house and contacted her parents and left a card for her to get a hold of them the next time her parents saw her. Now all of a sudden she brings it up to her probation officer, and who happens to be the detectives that are sent out? The exact same detectives that went to her parents' house and left a card.
Yep.
How did the probation officer know to talk to those two? Because I'm willing to bet she had that card that they left with her parents and went, oh, this happened and these guys were looking for me. But you never hear that.
Nope. Yeah, her parents don't get called to testify. Johnny Great was called to testify for Rosetta Great, who, by the way, Davis did the same thing, dropped a card off with Johnny Great, Rosetta Great's dad. Also, Sherry Ellis, Kim Davis went to great lengths to track down Sherry Ellis. She couldn't find Sherry Ellis. She was on the list. That's a fucking list. I don't care what. And what does it matter? Okay, what does it matter if it's a list or a packet? Looks like. Uh-oh. How come we're buffering?
I have no idea. Are we back?
Are we okay, guys?
Yeah, Tammy's saying yes.
Okay, Liam's giving a thumbs up.
Okay.
All right. Sorry about that.
Yeah, he just... And there's a reason why I use that example. Back when this was going on, what was one of the number one shows on TV?
I'm guessing CSI or NCIS. No. I didn't watch those shows.
Criminal Minds.
Criminal Minds. Yeah, I didn't watch any of those.
Yeah.
But
and if you read the transcripts or you hear interviews, that's exactly the way Giger and the detectives are trying to put it across. Oh, we're these great profilers, and the reason we went looking for just this specific is because we knew, with all of our great experience, that was the only type of person that he was interested in doing this to. Yeah, baloney.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they call it his MO and his pattern and his blah 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 and his this and that.
They use all the Criminal Minds and profiling buzzwords. Exactly.
Yep. And it's really disgusting in the Michelle Malkin interview between, hi, Don, it's great to see you. Thanks for popping in. Looks like to some people we're back or we're buffering or everything looks fine on my end. I don't know what's going on. I'm sorry that's happening, though.
The internet's been weird today.
Yeah, maybe I mean, I'm showing a really strong connection, but I'm sorry. Hopefully, somebody said they left and came back in. That might help too, possibly. But yes, that's a great point that you make, Rick, because, Lieutenant Musney is trying to make it sound like he's some sort of a profile. He's a fucking detective. He was a patrol officer. It became, investigator and a detective. He's not a freaking criminal profiler, though. They went back over a year to find, in Daniel's records, all of his police records, to find the right demographic of people to set up to accuse him. And you guys can all say that I'm just reaching, or Rick's reaching, or that any of us who believe Daniel's innocent are reaching. You know what? That's fine. That's the reason, though, that we're reading the transcripts to you guys, because this case is not at all what it looks like in the media and what it looked like on the surface. And because this trial was not televised, nor are any trials, I guess, in Oklahoma televised, uh, you know, unless you were at the trial, you don't know. You don't know. That's why we've been acquiring these transcripts and reading them to you, so that you people get to know what really went on during the trial and the lies. Um, that not just the accusers tell, but their witnesses. Um, I don't. You probably didn't. I don't. Maybe people did catch it, but according to James Anderson, who was a witness, pardon me, for Kala Lyles, um, she called him before she got back to the hotel. She called him and had a conversation with him. According to her, she just went straight to the hotel and told James Anderson what happened. She alleges happened. Is that a big deal? Maybe not. Might be something minor, but it's a lie. Nonetheless, it's a lie. Somebody lied, and we have those call records and exhibits, and we're going to be going through those very, very closely, because I want to know if all we have is just the 24-hour period, though. For Kala Lyles, we only have a 24-hour period of calls on her from her call logs and from the Relax In. And I want to know, did she make a phone call to Tabitha Barnes, or did Tabitha Barnes call her in that 24-hour period? I don't know yet. I haven't looked. It's a lot. There's like over 11 pages of call logs, and they're gonna go into that in great, annoying, almost seemingly unimportant detail in when Kim Davis testifies next weekend. But I'm curious to see, in that 24-hour period, we may not be able, maybe not, if there was any contact with Tabitha Barnes. But I want to find out. I have Tabitha Barnes's phone number during that time. So, are we still good? Can people still see us and hear us, or it's buffering? Did we just disappear completely? Hopefully, it says we have viewers still, so hopefully it's okay. At any rate, we're going to go through those call logs in some detail in the coming, days or weeks even, and see what connections we can make. Because I'm telling you guys, in my gut, I feel so strongly that there is something between the Sherry Ellis accusation, which we now know is false. Well, those of us who've been researching and investigating the case have known it from the beginning, but we definitely now know after the video clip I made that was on the that we put out from the deposition. We now know that that Sherry Ellis's story is false. That's a whole other thing of how that story became a thing and how it blew up the way it did. Because I've said from the beginning, and I really still do believe this. I believe Sherry Ellis was sexually assaulted that night, or a night near that night of May 7th. I believe she was sexually assaulted by a black cop. I just know for a fact it wasn't Daniel Holtzclaw, and she does too. She knows it. The attorneys that were taking her deposition that day know it. Everybody knows it, but there's proof of that now. So I believe that Kim Davis is very, very instrumental in helping with the details of Sherry Ellis's alleged assault. One other thing I want to say really quickly, next weekend, we're going to hear in Kim Davis's testimony that Daniel Holtzclaw, Officer Holtzclaw, did not do a 1014 with Kala Lyles. 1014 is a officer transporting a subject from one location to another. And if it's when they do that, they have to call in the mileage of when they start and when they get to the location where they were taking the subject. He did that with Rosetta Great. We have that call log. He did that with, I can't think of the other ones. At any rate, I have the calls, and hopefully I have, there is no call like that for Kala Lyles. And Kim Davis makes a big deal about that during the trial. Well, she doesn't make a big deal. Galen Gigger does, and she confirms it during her testimony about him not doing a 1014 call on Kala Lyles. And he asks her, was that significant to you? And she's like, yep, significant, because he transported a female from one location to another, and he didn't call it in, and he didn't call in his mileage because he didn't fucking take her. I'm telling you guys, he did not transport Kala Lyles from Northeast 16th and Lottie to 18th and Highland. He didn't do it. It didn't happen. I don't have proof of it, but I know enough about this case, and I know enough about the documents and the proof and the evidence that is there and the trial testimony and the ABL shit. He did not take her from one location to another. He didn't do it. Did not happen. I'll stake my
I don't believe
life
he
on
did
it.
either. I don't believe he did either.
And why would he do that? Why would he do that with all the other females that he transported in these cases, but not Kala Lyles? Come on. Why is there evidence of a call, of a 1014 call with all the other ladies that he transported, but not Kala Lyles? Bullshit. It didn't happen. Didn't happen. If I had money, I'd stake every bit of it on that fact. Anyway, I'm really passionate about it because I know, and it's very deeply hidden or covered or whatever you want to call it, but there is a direct connection between Sherry Ellis and Kala Lyles. And if it takes me the rest of my life, I'm going to figure out what it is. I'm not going to be doing it alone because I know Rick is on it as well. And I know Cherie is looking at it. Cherie and I have been doing this for years together, but.
Oh yeah, exactly, Liam. That's essentially what Gigger and that twit of a detective are saying. Oh, he called in, so he did it. Oh, but he didn't call in, so he did it.
Yeah. He was fucked either way. No matter what Daniel did, he was screwed, right? Yeah. She makes it a big deal when he does call it in. Yeah. Well, he called it in because he wants to make it look like blah, 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 blah. Daniel didn't stand a chance. And those people who are sitting on the fence or who believe Daniel to be 100% guilty or guilty of some of the things, I see that all the time in comments. Well, I think he's guilty of some of the things, but I don't think he did all of them. And 263 years is just ridiculous. Well, for you people that think that, or for you people who believe that he is 100% guilty of all of it, you have no idea what you're talking about. You don't know. You think you know because you choose to believe what you see in the media, and you think you know. Go ahead, please.
The problem with basing a decision on belief on media reports and interviews from the detectives and the prosecutor is that until you actually dig into all the documents and look at all the steps that they went through, much of which, by the way, the jury never saw.
Yep. Thank you for saying that, Rick, because Rick is very independent from what Cherie and I have been doing over the last, 4+ years now. Rick has just barely come onto this with me and Cherie in the last 2 months, maybe. Rick has been, well, I'll let Rick tell his story about how he got to where he is with Daniel's case.
I actually, one of the things I started doing after I retired is I became a professional billiards referee. So I am friends with referees from all over the world. And some of them know that I used to be a police officer. So when they hear stories like this, they come and talk to me about them. And there are some that come and talk to me that I'm like, no, something doesn't sound right about that. And being the semi-logical person I am, I just don't take what they're saying as accurate. I start looking into it. One of the big premises of being a referee, especially when you get called after the fact, is player A is going to say this, player B is going to say this, and what actually happened is probably going to be somewhere in the middle, maybe skewed one direction or another. When people come to me with stories like this, I start looking into them because I won't just take the word of one side. But if they're coming to me because it sounds fishy to them, and what they're telling me sounds fishy, then I've got to figure it out. Because it drives me nuts if I don't.
Right. Well, I think our minds are similar, and Cherie's and whoever else are similar in that I want to find out shit for myself. I want to know for myself what the truth of a thing, anything. I don't care what it is, the color of Easter eggs, last year. I don't care what it is. I want to find out for myself so that when I'm talking about something or I'm speaking about something or I'm making a judgment call about something or an opinion about it, I want to know what I'm talking about. I don't want to just be regurgitating, recycling information that I've gotten, first, second, 5th, 5th, 7th, 10th, 12th hand of a thing. I want to find it for myself and know for myself. And I think that's kind of like what Rick was saying as well.
Yeah, I've got to find out. And I've done that with another Oklahoma case that you and I did Richard Glossop. His last name completely went out of my head. That was another one that, unbeknownst to each other, Rhonda and I were both following and digging into to a certain point.
And Rick and I
don't even start with the flat Earth stuff. I moderate for space flight now for rocket launches. I deal with so many flat Earth nonsense in those streams that it's
great. More here. Now look what you did. I'm teasing. It's fine. Well, yeah, I don't know. I'm just like, and the thing of it is that, yes, Rick and I and Cherie and I and Rick, we've all been doing this independently. Cherie and I together, of course, and then Rick on his own. I've only known Rick for a couple of months. I've known of him. A
little more than that.
I've known
because you and I started talking to each other on Robert's stream 3.5, 4 months ago, maybe.
Yeah. But I guess, Flat Moon. But I guess my point is that we didn't know until about that time, because we've been chatting with each other back and forth, with everybody else, more here and Tammy Baker and different people also who in Robert's chat or Richard's chat, um, but we didn't know of each other's independent research on Daniel's case until
Mm-mm.
the last few months.
Yeah, not
And
not
when
until about 2.5 months ago.
Yeah. Also, he's not here today, and that's fine, but at the RP games, who also comes to the chat occasionally when he's able to, uh, same with him. He's known of Daniel's case. I don't know if Rick and the RP games knew each other's knowledge of the case,
Mm-mm.
but yeah. So, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, Michael Stetson has also been in the chat here, but we know him from Robert's channel. He also had knowledge of Daniel's case, and so I'm always dropping, hashtag free Daniel Holtzclaw in any chat really, but in Robert's chat, if Robert's talking about something that has to do with a wrongful conviction or something, I was dropping it hashtag free Daniel Holtzclaw, or the case that I cover on my channel, blah 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 blah. And so I do that all the time, but very few people really respond to that, especially in a chat like Robert's where it's moving really quickly. Your comments just don't get seen unless you tag somebody, really. I shouldn't say it like that. Well, and to be fair, most of my comments are rambling anyway, so I don't expect people to just notice everything I say. But but it didn't matter if somebody was commenting on my hashtag or not, or my comment about Daniel's case. I didn't care. I'm just putting it out there because somebody someday might rewatch that and see my comment and go, oh wait, I know about that. However it happens, I don't care. I don't even care. Yeah, or you make a donation. Yeah, I know that's true too. That's frustrating to me. That's why I try to make sure everybody in my chat is recognized, whether you are a channel member or not. Everybody deserves to be recognized. My chats are small enough. My streams are small enough. I can still do that. I don't know, if it was fast like Roberts, I don't know. You have to have somebody else helping you with those things, I think. I don't think it should just, somebody shouldn't just be recognized just because they throw money my way. That's not at all what this is about.
You think Roberts is bad? Try being a mod for Dan Bongino's show.
No, well, that or Benny. Oh my gosh, it's just pointless to make a comment or to make a donation in Benny's chat. It's insane. It's just ridiculous. I don't even know why I waste my time. At any rate, I'm lucky enough that I can still recognize each of you, to the best of my ability when I'm able to pay attention to the chat. So I want everyone to know that I appreciate all of you, whether you have a membership symbol next to your name or not. Your comment matters, and if I see it, I want to make sure I address it, especially with questions. At any rate, I'm getting way off track. Surprise! But my point is that we came to this independently of each other, knowing of each other's knowledge of the case. And I think Rick said he got his first information about the case from Uncuff the Innocent.
Yes.
So
that was the website that I initially started gathering information from.
Right. And there's documents there. There are documents, a lot of documents in my Discord, Daniel's Truth. The description is in the link for that is in the description. So you can, Rick has been working on cleaning up the Discord for us because it's been a mess. We spent an hour or two the other day talking, like a verbal conversation, trying to go through and decide things that were rooms, channels, whatever they're called, unnecessary. So, Rick is slowly, I didn't mean that. That wasn't meant to be a dig, but just that it takes time.
It takes a while.
Yeah, and he's trying to get that all cleaned up and get things, in proper places. We're not deleting any documents. All the documents are staying there, but Rick is going to thread them, I guess, in a sense, so that they're easier for everyone to access if they choose to.
Yeah.
So, tons of documents in Daniel's Truth. So please, if feel free to go in and access anything that's there, download it, whatever, download it, print it, however you want to use it. And the only thing at this point that Cherie and I are kind of waiting on, and it's probably going to be a long time before we're able to, is being able to use more of the deposition information. Cherie and I make a comment every now and then about, so-and-so said this in their deposition or that or in their deposition or both, because we can do that. But, unfortunately, because of Daniel's case still, being in post-conviction, we don't want to, put information out there that could be beneficial or will be beneficial to Daniel's post-conviction case. So well, look at there. That's really awesome. I appreciate that you noticed. It's been all Rick. Rick's doing that. So thank you for
I freaked her out during the call where we were talking about it, because she was saying, well, we can do this, and then it would change on her screen in front of her, and she's like, wait a minute. Yeah, it's already done.
Yeah, I would be in a room looking at it going, yeah, we don't need, and he'd be like, oh God, and I'd be like, whoa, what happened? It just disappeared. So Rick was making changes as we were speaking. So I'm glad that you noticed, Liam. Our goal with Discord is to get more people interested in going there, and hopefully at some point, getting to a point where we can have like verbal conversations in some of the different areas that have that feature for voice calls. But I mean, because when you want to talk about something in depth about any part of the real-time changes, like literally before my freaking eyes, Liam, I was like, ah! It was like almost like a flash, and I'd be like, whoa. Initially I thought there was some glitch going on. I was like, oh my God, what is happening? It's gonna just completely crash and disappear. No, Rick was just making real-time changes. Exactly. So it's been great. But so that's the goal with the Discord, and it's been stagnant now for, I don't know, 4.5 years, that when I first tried to start it. So Rick's going to help get that in line and help get it, user friendly for those who really want to learn more about the cases. So I appreciate that. Also, I did add, I want to say this really quick. I'm not on Facebook. The only time I ever go to Facebook is if I'm looking at my phone and I see a notification that from somebody at Facebook that applies to Daniel's case or that mentions me specifically. But to go into Facebook just because I never do that. But I did happen to notice that, and Cherie does a little bit more. Cherie stays up on top of that kind of, the Facebook things better than I do. But I did notice that Jenny Holtzclaw, and I put her Facebook link in the description, made a post, I think within the last 24 hours, 48 hours, I don't know, recently, about this December will be
Sorry, I just saw something that Liam said in the chat. Go ahead.
That's just one reason why we love Liam. He's amazing. He's funny. He's awesome. And he never really is laughing. He's just making everybody else chuckle. I think that's awesome. But But anyway, this year will be 10 years that Daniel was convicted. He was convicted on his birthday on December 10th, 2015. So can you imagine? I mean, especially as you get older, birthdays are like, not really always something people look forward to. But can you imagine being 27 years old and never, ever, ever looking forward to another birthday just because of what happened on your birthday when you were 27 years old? And that breaks my heart. At any rate, she wants to get I guess I could open up the link and show it, but right now there's a petition. There's been a petition for Daniel for a new trial for years. She is asking, I'm going to speak only half truth here, not going off half cocked, I guess you could say. I can't remember the exact post, but whatever it is, she wants to get that petition to 100,000, I think, 100,000 signatures, before December 10th of this year. It's a milestone. Sounds weird to call it a milestone, but it's 10 years is a mark in history of, anything. So, grab that link in the description. It's follow Jenny on Facebook. First of all, it's her page is for Daniel to talk about Daniel's case. That's a whole different group of people, and the Facebook group. There's a couple of Facebook groups, but paying attention to what Jenny says on hers is usually the best bet. But follow Jenny Holtzclaw on Facebook. The link for her Facebook is in the description. And the link for the petition to sign for Daniel's petition is also in the description. So if you want to grab those links and sign the petition and follow Jenny on Facebook, those things are helpful as well. So I'm kind of winding down. I think. You sound like me, Tammy. I have had to stay off Facebook due to my stepmom. I know me and my mouth and my ability to type what's on my mind. I'm waiting to finish with probate from my father's death. My sister and I had to file. Oh, that sucks. Oh,
Yeah, that's never fun.
oh, probate. I can't imagine probate. My mom, just before she started to lose her faculties, after she was diagnosed with cancer, it was the hardest thing to bring up. Me and my brother and my sister had moved back to California to take care of her in her whatever time she was going to have left. And it was a really hard subject to bring up, but we could tell. Now, whether my mom ended up having brain mets or not, we don't know. She was 74 years old. And so whether it was brain mets or if she was, showing signs of Alzheimer's or dementia, we don't know. But we could tell that she was starting to struggle with everything, cognitively. So my brother and my sister and I had a conference. We had lots of little conferences, and we said one of us excuse me, my throat is dry. One of us has got to broach the subject with mom, or all three of us with mom, about getting a what's it called, power of attorney. I can't think of the word it was that we a will, so to speak, but it wasn't really. It was something
Living
different.
will.
Living will, yeah, something. We knew we needed to get her to agree to something legally before she completely, lost all of her cognitive abilities, because there was one sister, excuse me, who I haven't mentioned, but we knew, could cause a problem if there wasn't something legal in place. And so my mom did that. And even then, we were worried because we were like, oh my gosh. At any rate, we did manage to get everything signed, everything legal and everything, proper. And we didn't have to go to probate, but I still had problems with one family member, aka sibling, um, trying to control everything. And I was the power of attorney or executor of the will or whatever it's called. So I can't imagine having to go through probate, because I know that can take years and years, Tammy, not to just the legal stuff, but not to mention the mental, emotional, physical wear and tear on your mind and your body, imposed by others who supposedly love the same person that you're trying to protect. So good luck on that. And I hope that you can manage to get through all of that without irreparable damage. Anyway, so follow Jenny Holtzclaw, follow the link. And then there's several other links in the description that I'm trying to remember to put in each week. The Discord link is in there. And then a few really important places like holtzclawtrial.com, Bates Investigates podcast, Daniel in the Den, how I first became aware of Daniel's case, Michelle Malkin's mini documentary about Daniel's case, and then also a link for the 2-hour interview that Michelle Malkin did with Kim Davis and Rocky Gregory. Very, very interesting. You guys are going to listen. If you don't watch anything else, watch that, because you're going to learn a lot about what kinds of liars these detectives are. They come off as being dumb. I don't know. They probably are dumb. I'm sure. Well, I know they're dumb, but they try to come off as just being ignorant or dumb or unaware or whatever. I'm telling you, these two, in my opinion, got destroyed in this interview by Michelle Malkin. So whatever you think of Michelle Malkin, I happen to think she was a great journalist, is a great journalist, not afraid of anything. And she very respectful, very polite with Kim Davis and Rocky Gregory, in my opinion. But she definitely, brings the heat in this interview.
Yes, she does.
Watching them try to lie and weasel and dumb themselves out of certain things during the interview is almost entertaining. So at any rate, anyway, so try to, follow. I'm going to try to keep remembering. I have all those links already saved in a document so that all I have to do is copy and paste them each week. Instead of trying to remember to type them, because I suck at that. I suck at even doing decent descriptions, to be quite honest with you. So hopefully those that are in there today will be main regular links to that will be in each description of each live stream. For those of you who were looking at last week's live stream and going, oh my God, it's 3 hours and they didn't even start talking about it, the transcript, until an hour in, I knew that was a problem. Last week, we just had a great time chatting for the first hour about things other than the case necessarily. And it did take an hour before I showed a recorded trial or preliminary hearing transcript. So I made chapters in that particular video so that if you just want to hear the trial or the transcript, there's a chapter for it. So you can easily find that. You don't have to listen to the whole thing. We thought we were entertaining and having a lot of fun. Not everybody feels that way, and I understand that. So at any rate, again, here I am in the middle of the afternoon on a Monday, and doing a live stream that I feel like has been really successful, given all the circumstances. So I thank you for your patience and understanding. about us not being able to do it yesterday. I just have a lot of stuff in my life, you guys. I know everybody does, but sometimes my stuff gets in the way of, my job, which this is my job. And because I'm not necessarily punching a time clock, I need to kind of make sure that I am, taking care of my family and my own needs and well-being before anything else. If I can't take care of those things, then I can't do this effectively, is how I feel about it. Oh my goodness, Jennifer, you are amazing. Thank you. So I should be paying you. I should be giving you donations for the hard work that you've done and the great job you've done reading these transcripts. You're doing an amazing job. So you're the one who's doing the excellent job, and I thank you so much for the amazing donation and for all of the help that you so willingly and freely and easily give to help Daniel's case. So thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Yeah, I agree. I don't know. Replay's just different, especially because you can't interact with the chat, right? And I am a motor mouth, so not being able to interact with the chat's really frustrating to me if I'm watching things on replay. But I don't care when you watch it, how you watch it, where you watch it. If you watch it live or you watch it on replay, I just want the information out there. And Rick and Richard and Davey and Scott and Jennifer and Cherie are all doing an excellent job helping us to get that information out there. So Rick, what do you have any final comments before I stop running my mouth and letting these amazing people go for the day?
No, not about this case. I've got to dig a little deeper into the case of the Navy guy that I sent you the information on.
Yes.
Some of the stuff I've already found out is
it's unbearable. Cherie and I got to know each other from following very independently of each other. I was completely on my own at this time when I heard about it. But Cherie and I got to know each other, I don't even remember how many years ago now, by following the Stephen Avery and Brendan Dassey cases from Wisconsin. We both believe, based on years of research and investigation, working with other communities, we both believe in their innocence. And
that's been 19 years now.
Yeah, 2005 was when Stephen Avery was arrested. So, and Kathleen Zellner, she isn't giving up. I mean, she's not winning, but she's not giving up on trying to, get Stephen Avery at least a new trial or an evidentiary hearing. And I'm telling you what, talk about corrupt states, the state of Wisconsin. Whoa.
Yep.
I still think Oklahoma's worse, just because I've so many cases that we've, studied and researched and followed. But wow, the Avery Dassey case.
New York is by far the worst.
Sure. Yeah. I can't even. Let's just take New York out of the equation because they're their own. And no offense to Cherie, of course, but she doesn't live in the city. She lives in upstate New York. But anyway, I don't care who is listening or watching this that lives in Oklahoma. Your state, particularly Oklahoma City, if you don't see it, know it, believe it now, it's very, very corrupt. Very corrupt. So,
hugely.
Other states, systems are as well, but I know too much about Oklahoma's history and the corruption in that state, and that, particularly in that county. I will question every case that comes out of Oklahoma because I just don't trust them that much. And I think Cherie gets a kick out of this too. She's the one who caught onto it, latched onto it, and has fun with it. But Kurt from Uncivil Law, when he was reading the Supreme Court's decision on Glossip a couple of weeks ago. Or no, it wasn't that. It was a different case out of Oklahoma. The Supreme Court, it was the one where the Supreme Court didn't even wait for arguments. They just said, this is bullshit, you guys, and we're overturning this case, and you guys need to figure this out because OCC, the Oklahoma City in general, prosecution of that particular case was just wrong and deceitful, and
Yep.
and the Supreme Court of the United States said nope. And so when Kurt was reading the Supreme Court's decision, he was getting a kick out of it and chuckling, and it was fun to watch him be so amused. And he said at one point, he said that OCCA in Oklahoma Court of Criminal Appeals, got bench slapped. It was fun, and it was funny. It was funny. Bench slapped. Come on. And yeah.
The best description I've heard of OCCA recently is they are becoming the new Nutty Ninth.
Oh,
Remember when everybody called the Ninth Circuit the Nutty Ninth because, like, every decision almost they made within a couple of months the Supreme Court was overturning?
uh-huh.
OCCA is becoming the new Nutty Ninth.
The new Nutty Ninth. That makes, I see that now. That makes sense.
Oh, is Robert started?
Yeah, I guess Robert has started, so I know we're going to lose.
Oh, time change. Yeah, duh.
Yeah, time change, and he changed the time of his afternoon stream. So at any rate, we've been on for almost 3.5 hours. I hope that people were I hope you enjoyed what we presented today. It's hard to say I hope you enjoyed the video because it was horrific and disgusting and vile and foul and every other negative word you can think of, but hopefully you were able to learn from it and get information. And even, if you're not sure about Daniel and his guilt or innocence, that should have been, hopefully you got something out of today that's making you at least question it a little bit more. So with that, let's see, I want to see this really quick here that Liam is saying. Even I have seen reports over the years about abuses of power coming from Oklahoma. Yeah, it's bad. It really is bad. All the way from, Daniel's case, Richard Glossip, many, many other death row cases. Robert Macy, Bob Macy, David Prater, Joyce Gilchrist. I have videos on all of those guys, older, in my channel. So thank you guys very much. I can't appreciate you guys enough. Jennifer, thank you again for the very generous donation, and to all of those who read for these transcript recordings. Thank you so much. Please don't forget to like the video, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. I appreciate it. And listen, I will answer comments, and if you put comments in the comment section, I'm going to get to it and respond to it. I promise. So if you think you're going to make a comment and it's just going to get ignored, I'm going to get it. It might be a week or even a month later, but I'll get to it. I promise.
I'll start looking at the comments after the streams too.
Yeah.
So I can, if I see something that I can answer, I'll catch it and get it answered. Yeah. So hopefully it won't take as long not that you take forever, but.
Well, I do, because I've got 1,000 things that I'm trying to do for the channel. So, or for other things too, just life. Anyway, I appreciate that, Rick. That would be really helpful if you could do that. All right. Great afternoon stream, especially even though it was on a Monday afternoon. I really appreciate everybody who was able to make it and who was able to chat with us and to watch the content. And until next time, should be next Sunday. I'm not making any promises anymore because I never know when my life is just going to, throw a monkey wrench into what I want to do. But hopefully next Sunday at 1 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Central, 3 p.m. Eastern, we should have Kim Davis testimony regarding Kala Lyles case. So until next time, peace out.